Chapter 224. This pig-slaying swordsmanship was indeed the #1 swordsmanship in the world. The first stage was invincible in sword moves. The second stage was invincible in internal resistance. The third stage was to simply begin to penetrate into the deepest relationships of energy and qian-qi. It began to transform energy and completely break the so-called yin and yang and the 5 elements. It explored the deepest secrets of the human body, the qian veins and energy. Of course, this seemed too theoretical, too profound, or too useless. It did not have much use for a martial artist's cultivation. But in reality, the power of the yin-yang qi transformation technique was even more mysterious and powerful than the first 2 stages of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. In the most utilitarian terms, there were 2 kinds of instant killing effects. The first was that every martial artist had their own attributes. Those with yang attribute qian veins could only absorb yang attribute qian-qi from heaven and earth. To be more specific, when fire attribute martial artists devoured metal attribute qian-qi, the effects would be greatly reduced, even though metal attribute qian-qi was also yang attribute. Therefore, for a martial artist, the most important daily qian-qi absorption, he could only use 1/3 of the qian-qi in his body. And within this 1/3, he could refine and purify it and guide it into his qi. But when he learned the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, the yin-yang qi transformation technique, he could refine any type of qian-qi in his body. Those with yang attribute qian veins could devour yang attribute energy and guide it into his qi after refining it. Those with yang attribute qian veins could also directly refine yang attribute qian-qi for their own use. In other words, when the yin-yang qi transformation technique was cultivated to the highest level, even if it was the most ordinary cultivation, disregarding the qian veins, a martial artist's cultivation speed would be 3 times faster than others. And Yang Dingtian had 9 yang qian veins, so even his normal cultivation speed would be 4 to 5 times faster than others, or even higher. Therefore, just this aspect alone made the yin-yang qi transformation technique, the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, almost heaven-defying. There was another even more instant killing effect, and that was when fighting with enemies. This yin-yang qi transformation technique could directly dissolve and refine qian-qi that attacked one's body. Not only could it turn the damage into nothing, it could also turn the qian-qi energy of the enemy's attack into one's own. This effect was even more powerful, to the point of defying the natural order. Therefore, the pig-slaying swordsmanship was really the world's most profound and most powerful martial technique manual. In fact, it could no longer be considered a martial technique manual. As a martial skill, the 2nd stage was already its limit. The 3rd stage had already exceeded the scope of martial skills. It was already at the level of the canon of energy. It could directly dissect and modify the deepest attributes of energy. Without a doubt, the pig-slaying swordsmanship scroll was a unique secret manual in this world, an unprecedented secret manual. After an unknown amount of time, Yang Dingtian had almost completely forgotten about his own existence in this illusory void. He forgot about his martial skills, forgot about his treasured sword, forgot about everything. In the entire world, there were only changes, developments, and transformations of energy. It was as if he was a wave of energy, a wave of profound energy. In the boundless illusory universe, he desperately soared, desperately sensing the endless mysteries of energy. However, there was so much information that his brain could only remember a drop in the ocean, and the images were still changing crazily. Phew! All of a sudden, the boundless energy within the illusion realm suddenly exploded. It was like a nuclear explosion, and it was extremely bright. Subsequently, everything vanished without a trace, and Yang Dingtian instantly woke up. Of course, this was not because the energy in the illusory world had stopped changing. It was because all the profound energy in the pig-slaying swordsmanship scroll had been exhausted, and it had completely dissipated in Yang Dingtian's profound veins and energy reserve. Therefore, everything came to an abrupt end. At this time, more than 20 hours had passed since Yang Dingtian had just started learning the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship scroll. After waking up, Yang Dingtian still could not calm down his shock and interest. He could not help but ask in his heart, "Master, did you see it just now?" After a long time, Dongfang Minmi sighed and said, "I saw it. This is the most profound secret manual I have ever seen. It doesn't look like a martial skill scroll at all. This made me clearly feel that even though I am a great grandmaster, my understanding of martial arts may only be a drop in the ocean." Then, Dongfang Minmi said, "Compared to the first two stages of the pig-slaying swordsmanship scroll, this third stage of the yin-yang qi transformation technique may be the true supreme secret manual." Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, "Master, can you help me see how much my profound energy has broken through? When I was cultivating just now, I didn't feel any breakthrough at all." Dongfang Minmi said, "In the illusory world of cultivation, you have already forgotten about your own body. You only felt a surge of energy, so of course you wouldn't feel your own breakthrough." Then, Dongfang Minmi's divine sense began to explore Yang Dingtian's energy reserve. After that, Dongfang Minmi was immersed for a few seconds. Yang Dingtian could not help but ask anxiously, "What's wrong, master? Did I really not break through?" "I broke through," Dongfang Minmi said. "How much did I break through?" Yang Dingtian asked nervously. "I broke through 4 levels," Dongfang Minmi said with a trembling voice. "Not only did you break through to the martial mystic level, you also directly broke through to the 1-star martial mystic level." "What?" Yang Dingtian immediately let out a voice of complete disbelief. The third stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship actually allowed him to directly break through 4 levels. Originally, the best result he expected was only to break through to the martial mystic level. If he couldn't do that, then he could also become a 9-star great mystic martial master. However, he didn't expect that he would directly break through to the 1-star martial mystic level. It was even better than the best result Yang Dingtian expected. He took a deep breath. Right now, there are only less than 8 hours until Qin Wancho's birthday banquet. Because he can't use the pig-slaying swordsmanship or the youngling sword, merely breaking through to the 1-star martial mystic level is not enough. It's not enough to directly defeat Yifeng. In the following time, Yang Dingtian still has to hurry and learn the 8th-rank mystic skill, Devil Flame Saber Art. After taking out the 8th-rank Devil Flame Saber Art secret manual from his spatial ring, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and slowly imbued profound energy into it. This ordinary mystic skill scroll is indeed different from the pig-slaying swordsmanship. It doesn't have any illusions. After Yang Dingtian imbued his profound energy into the scroll, the entire secret manual started to light up. Incomparably complicated profound energy routes started to appear on the scroll. Layer by layer, it's subtle and bizarre. Yang Dingtian's profound energy needs to completely pass through these incomparably complicated profound energy routes before returning to his body. These secret manuals record incomparably complicated information. After it re-enters Yang Dingtian's profound veins and energy sea, it will leave an indelible mark on his profound energy. It had left an indelible imprint in Yang Dingtian's body. This imprint was a special way to organize mystic qi, attack method, and attack attribute, and so on. In short, it's an extremely complicated thing that forms the 8th-rank Devil Flame Saber Art. This kind of organizing method transforms profound energy into a flame saber with astonishing destructive power, achieving the effect of killing in one strike. Therefore, compared to the pig-slaying swordsmanship scroll, learning this kind of mystic skill is undoubtedly more boring. He can only watch his profound energy follow the complicated routes and advance inch by inch. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Finally, Yang Dingtian's profound energy completed all the profound energy routes in the secret manual scroll. Then, it brought along incomparably complicated information and fiercely drilled into his body. Instantly, the 8th-rank Devil Flame Saber Art scroll burned and turned into ashes. A white light flashed in front of Yang Dingtian's eyes, and he fell into a short period of nothingness and dizziness. This was because the profound energy started to leave the unique imprint of the 8th-rank Devil Flame Saber Art in Yang Dingtian's brain, profound veins, and energy sea. After a full 10 minutes, the 8th-rank Devil Flame Saber Art's profound skill cultivation method was clearly imprinted in Yang Dingtian's brain, and profound veins. The entire Devil Flame Saber art only has 3 moves. The first move, Blazing Wild Saber. The second move, Lotus 9 Ring Saber. The third move, Devil Calamity Prison Splitting Saber. Without a doubt, each of these 3 moves was more powerful than the last. Of course, each move consumed more profound energy than the last, and each move was harder to execute than the last. Wait a minute. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian found another move of the 8th ranked Devil Flame Saber art in the corner of his special memory space. Moreover, it was a hidden move. Devil comes from the heart. The name of this move was completely different from the previous 3 moves. Originally, Yang Dingtian wanted to conduct a few more trials of the Devil Flame Saber art to find out which move was stronger, especially this hidden move. What exactly was going on? However, everyone knew that using profound skills consumed a lot of profound energy. At this moment, there were only 2 to 3 hours left until Qin Wancho's birthday banquet. Therefore, Yang Dingtian didn't have any time to try. He couldn't even try once. This was because during the competition, Yang Dingtian had to maintain an abundance of profound energy. The power of the 8th ranked Devil Flame Saber art could only be determined during the competition. Immediately, Yang Dingtian got up and was about to leave the secret room and go to the ground. Suddenly his master Dongfang Minmi said, "Child, don't be anxious. There are still 2 to 4 hours before the birthday banquet. I will teach you a saber art one last time. You only need to learn the superficial moves. This way, it won't be easy for you to reveal any flaws in the competition later." "Okay, master." Yang Dingtian then took out the huge and mighty Sky Devil Saber from his interspatial ring. Dongfang Minmi said, "This saber art is the unique saber art of Saber Monarch Xiying, Wind Ripple Evil Saber Art." Then, his master's divine sense directly demonstrated the Wind Ripple Evil Saber art in Yang Dingtian's mind. This saber art was divided into a total of 13 moves. Next, Yang Dingtian followed his master's movements in his mind and learned each move. 2 hours later, Yang Dingtian finished learning the 13 moves of the Wind Ripple Evil Saber art. Of course, the profoundness of this saber art couldn't be compared to the pig-slaying swordsmanship. However, Yang Dingtian could see that this was a very, very profound saber art. It was both good and evil. It was simply domineering. After learning the saber art, Yang Dingtian took a bath as fast as he could. He put the Sky Devil Saber into a long box, and then carried the box out of the secret room. He rose to the surface of the water and went ashore. Then, he madly rushed toward the small house 10 miles away. Chapter 225. After learning the saber technique, Yang Dingtian took a bath as fast as he could, and placed the heavenly demon saber into a long box. Then he carried the box and walked out of the secret room. He rose to the surface of the water and went ashore. Then, he rushed towards the small house 10 miles away. In the small house, Sumei was waiting for him. She looked extremely anxious. When she saw Yang Dingtian appear, her beautiful eyes lit up with joy. Then, she quickly took out a set of embroidered robes and took off Yang Dingtian's clothes. Then, she helped Yang Dingtian change into the priceless embroidered robes. Then, she pulled Yang Dingtian onto a luxurious carriage and rushed towards Qin City in the north. "Quick, the birthday banquet is about to start. Once it starts, we won't be able to enter." The inner city of Qin City was about 5,000 mu. It was the core of Qin City and the headquarters of the Qin clan. At the same time, it was also the true core of power in the northwest mainland. When Yang Dingtian entered the inner city for the first time, he realized that all the buildings within the inner city were grand and majestic. There were tall buildings, huge palaces, huge stairs, huge plazas, and long corridors. The entire inner city did not look like the headquarters of a sect. Instead, it looked like the palaces of ancient China's emperors. That's right, the Qin clan lord was different from everyone else. He did not want to be the clan lord of a sect. He wanted to be a king. Yang Dingtian used his fastest speed to rush to the gate of the inner city. At this moment, the large bell had not rung. Therefore, Qin Wancho's 50th birthday banquet had not truly begun. At this moment, there were not many people at the gate of the inner city. This was because most of the people who had come to attend the banquet had already entered. However, the inner city gate was still heavily guarded. There were more than 100 martial artists guarding it. Among them there were 2 martial honorables. "Get out of the carriage." "Stop." Young Dingtian had just arrived at the gate of the inner city when he heard a shout. Young Dingtian got out of the carriage and said loudly, "I am Shen Lang, the leader of the guards of the West Province City Lord's wife. I am here to attend the Lord's birthday banquet." When he said this, dozens of gazes immediately looked at Yang Dingtian. Without a doubt, Shen Lang's name had already spread far and wide under the manipulation of people with ulterior motives. Moreover, Yang Dingtian could almost feel the contempt and disdain in their eyes. After all, Yang Dingtian's current identity was Qin Mengli's boy toy. Although many people in the monastery knew that Yang Dingtian was the male host, in the eyes of others, Yang Dingtian was just a gigolo. The warrior in the lead stepped forward and looked coldly at Yang Dingtian. Then he said indifferently, "Follow me." Then, the warrior led Yang Dingtian into the inner city. What made Yang Dingtian a little unhappy was that they didn't enter from the main entrance, but opened a small side door on the side. At this time, night had already fallen. The entire inner city was brightly lit and bustling with activity. Orderly patrolling warriors filled every corner of the inner city. Beautifully dressed maids and servants carried all kinds of delicacies as they shuttled through every path. After entering the inner city, Yang Dingtian realized that the warrior leader led Yang Dingtian to a small path on the right, and not the main VIP path in the middle. Qin Wancho's birthday banquet was being held in the largest hall in the center of the inner city, which was tens of thousands of square meters in size. Almost all of the guests entered through the main path in the center, which was 20 meters wide. However, the warrior leader led Yang Dingtian to a small path in the corner. Moreover, Yang Dingtian realized that the people shuttling through this small path were all servants of the inner city. This was a path that was specially used by servants. Although Yang Dingtian didn't really care about this, he couldn't help but feel indignant. In the eyes of the people of Qin City, Yang Dingtian was treated like a servant. At this time, Su Mei's face was also filled with unhappiness and helplessness. The warrior leader didn't lead Yang Dingtian to the main hall in the center. Instead, he led him to a side courtyard at the back. "You just wait here. When young Master Yifeng starts the competition, someone will come to teach you." The warrior leader pointed at the small courtyard and said coldly, "Without orders, you are not allowed to take a step out of this small courtyard. Violators will be killed without mercy." Yang Dingtian was so angry that he laughed and walked into the side courtyard. At this time, the entire small courtyard was surrounded by dozens of warriors. Their faces were cold, and they were fully armed. Entering the small courtyard, there were more than a dozen tables inside. There were already dozens of people sitting there eating. There were men and women. At this time, they were divided into several groups. They were sitting inside and chatting in low voices. Looking at this group of people's attire, they should be preparing to perform at the banquet. Some were performing acrobatics, some were performing tricks, and some were even performing dances. Some people in Qin City thought that Yang Dingtian was a performer performing acrobatics. This was a great humiliation. After Su Mei entered, she frowned and said, "They are too much. They are simply bullying people." Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "It doesn't matter." After entering the small courtyard, he found a place to sit down. The performers inside saw Yang Dingtian in a brocade robe and were stunned. They said, "Brother, which troupe are you in? Why haven't we seen you before?" Yang Dingtian smiled and was about to answer. Unexpectedly, Su Mei said coldly, "Are you blind? Young Master Shen is noble. How can you performers compare to him?" One had to know that actors had the lowest status in this world. They were even worse than ordinary civilians. Those performers insisted and sneered disdainfully. "What are you pretending for? If you are not a performer, why would you be sitting on a bench here?" Then, this group of people made fun of Yang Dingtian in low voices. Su Mei was unhappy and wanted to teach them a lesson, but she was stopped by Yang Dingtian. "I don't care about this. What's funny is that group of people who use petty tricks," Yang Dingtian said. Su Mei said coldly. They are looking down on Madam. Yang Dingtian shook his head and did not say anything. Of course, they did not dare to look down on Qin Mengli. But during the family banquet, the Lord of Qin City had already expressed his dislike for Shen Lang. So, one could imagine the attitude of Qin City towards him. Just like this, Yang Dingtian waited in the side courtyard. There was not even a cup of hot tea, let alone wine and food. In the main hall a few hundred meters away, there were lights and feasting. Pleasant music entered his ears. The aroma of good wine and food could enter his nose from a few hundred meters away. It made the performers in the side courtyard drool. Although they were only a few hundred meters apart, the main hall and the side courtyard were completely different. The thousands of people sitting in the main hall were all above others. The performers in the remote areas were all below the average person. Just like this, he waited for 15 minutes, half an hour. The birthday banquet in the main hall was still lively. Countless good wine and food were served like flowing water. Countless beautiful women shuttled back and forth. In the main hall a few hundred meters away, the beauties were like silk under the light. It was like heaven on earth. Chapter 226. Within an hour, no one came to inform Yang Dingtian to head to the main hall. Yang Dingtian laughed at himself. He really did not expect such a situation. At this moment, a series of hurried footsteps suddenly came from outside. Then, the door far away was suddenly pushed open. The beautiful Qin Mengli stood outside the door. She was wearing a purple brocade dress. At this moment, she was extremely gorgeous and breathtaking. After seeing Yang Dingtian, Qin Mengli's eyes turned red immediately. Her beautiful face was filled with anger. Let's go, Langjun. I'll bring you to seek justice. Then Qin Mengli rushed in directly. She held Yang Dingtian's hand and walked out toward the central hall. Immediately those performers, who had been making fun of Yang Dingtian, revealed an extremely astonished expression. Then, this shock turned into fear and fear. They did not expect Yang Dingtian to be such a big shot. A big shot who could crush them with just a finger. As they walked, Qin Mengli said angrily, I gave you face but you don't want it. I want to see who is the one who has the guts to be so rude to my man. Then, she looked at Yang Dingtian and said, Shen Lang, I've been looking for you everywhere since the banquet started. I didn't expect that they would dare to arrange for you to sit in the side courtyard of the performers. They actually want to shed all pretense of cordiality. Why should I care? I've already chased that eunuch Yi Wujing away. Later you'll sit on my left. The same seat. The left was the seat of honor. It was the seat of the husband. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, Is this worth getting angry over? However, I do have a request. This group of performers will be performing later. Although it's not suitable for them to eat, you should still prepare some tea. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, the angry Qin Mengli suddenly burst into laughter. She rolled her eyes at Yang Dingtian and said, You have no desires. No wonder you're bullied. You don't care, but I don't. Just like this, Qin Mengli held onto Yang Dingtian's hand and walked into the central main hall without any concealment. The main hall was brightly lit with several thousand people sitting inside. After everyone saw Qin Mengli holding Yang Dingtian's hand and entering the grand hall, the originally noisy grand hall suddenly fell silent. Everyone was looking at Yang Dingtian and Qin Mengli with eyes filled with disbelief. The expressions of many of them changed drastically. Many of them had heard that Qin Mengli had a new lover. However, the identity of this lover was still not presentable. On the surface, Qin Mengli still had to go in and out with Yi Wujing and act as husband and wife. However, he did not expect Qin Mengli to bring her lover into the main hall so blatantly. This was tantamount to shedding all pretense of cordiality. This was equivalent to slapping Yi Wujing in the face in front of everyone. Therefore, Yi Wujing's face instantly turned pale without a trace of blood. He looked at Qin Mengli and Yang Dingtian. Instantly, his gaze was like that of an injured beast, revealing a soaring murderous intent. That's right. It was Yi Wujing's order to arrange for Yang Dingtian to be placed in the actor's courtyard. However, he did not expect Qin Mengli to care so much about this lover that she directly used the most violent method to take revenge on him. Instantly, Yi Wujing looked directly at Yi Feng with undisguised murderous intent. His meaning was very clear. He wanted Yi Feng to kill young Ding Tian in front of everyone in the martial arts competition later. Yi Feng's expression was cold as he nodded. Then, he slightly gripped the sharp sword in his hand and looked at young Ding Tian with murderous intent. Yi Wujing was not the only one whose expression changed drastically. Yi Wuqing, Qin Huayu, and of course the supreme master today, Qin Wanqiu, also had a drastic change in expression. However, the first thing young Ding Tian noticed was not Qin Wanqiu, nor was it Yi Wujing and Yi Feng who wanted to kill him. Instead, it was the gazes of three beautiful women. These three beautiful women were not inferior to Qin Mengli, who was beside him. They were Dongfang Bingling, Third Lady Gongsun, and Ning Roer. He really did not expect to meet these three women at the birthday banquet hall. That it was not strange for Dongfang Bingling to appear here. After all, she was also a member of the Taekwondo League. It was just that the Yinyang school's status was higher than Qin City's. Therefore, her arrival was just a favor to Qin Wanqiu. However, from another perspective, there were no more than 4 or 5 grandmasters in the entire world, and Qin Wanqiu was one of them. Even though Dongfang Bingling was the successor of the Yinyang school, as a junior, it was only right for her to attend the birthday banquet. As for Ning Roer, young Ding Tian should have already guessed that the man who defiled her a few years ago was Qin Huayu. However, Qin Huayu had always harbored wild ambitions for Yin Yan. Young Ding Tian felt that Ning Ro, or could at most be his private property. He did not expect Qin Huayu to openly bring her to the birthday banquet. What surprised young Ding Tian the most was Dugu Fengwu. Did this demonic woman eat a leopard's guts? Even though she was Third Lady Gongsun and had changed her appearance, Qin Wanqiu was a grandmaster-level expert. Dongfang Bingling was so incredible that she could possibly see through her true identity. What was the reason for this demonic woman to appear at the birthday banquet? Furthermore, there was another terrifying thing. Dugu Fengwu was able to recognize young Ding Tian from a distance. Therefore, when Qin Mengli brought young Ding Tian into the grand hall, everyone's eyes were concentrated on young Ding Tian's face. Young Ding Tian discovered these 3 faces that shocked him, but he didn't stop his gaze at them. These 3 women had different reactions. Ning Ro was only slightly startled before she looked at Qin Mengli with worried eyes. It was obvious that she didn't recognize young Ding Tian. On the other hand, Dongfang Bingling didn't even lift her eyes. Even in the crowd, she looked as though she was standing at the peak of a mountain, completely ignoring the people around her. No wonder Dugu Fengwu dared to appear in front of her. This woman was absolutely condescending. She didn't have any interest in Dugu Fengwu's disguise as Third Lady Gongsun. Therefore, Dugu Fengwu didn't have to worry about being seen through. As for Dugu Fengwu, her reaction was rather strange. She glanced at young Ding Tian and Qin Mengli indifferently before shifting her gaze away. She didn't have any reaction, as though she didn't recognize young Ding Tian. Instead, it was Qin Wanqiu and Qin Huayu who had a huge reaction. This was also the first time young Ding Tian saw Qin Wanqiu's true appearance. He was completely different from young Ding Tian's imagination. He wasn't very tall and wasn't considered handsome or refined. In fact, he looked rather boorish. He had thick eyebrows, long and narrow eyes, and a high nose bridge. His entire face was very white, but it was filled with dominance. His eyes were filled with shrewdness and scheming, but they were also filled with impatience at all times. In short, this was a very complicated person. He was also filled with dominance and made people fear him. "Ali, what are you doing?" Seeing Qin Mengli holding young Ding Tian's hand as she walked in, Qin Wanqiu immediately shouted with rage. Even in front of thousands of people, he didn't conceal anything. Qin Mengli's eyes turned brave as she held onto young Ding Tian's hand and was about to reveal her identity in front of everyone. However, young Ding Tian suddenly took half a step back and bent down slightly. Although he was still holding onto her hand, his role had changed from that of a male lover to that of a subordinate. "I respectfully send Madam back to her seat," young Ding Tian bowed and said. Qin Mengli was stunned and looked at young Ding Tian. Young Ding Tian glanced at her and continued to bow as he sent her back to her seat at the banquet. Then he held onto his battle saber and stood behind her, looking completely like a loyal guard. Although everyone was well aware that it wasn't appropriate for him to appear at the banquet as the leader of the guards, Yang Dingtian's actions had already given everyone a way out. At least the White Cloud City Lord, Yi Wuqing, didn't look so bad anymore. As for Yi Wuzhing and Yi Feng, the murderous intent in their eyes didn't decrease at all. Qin Wanqiu glanced at Qin Mengli coldly and said, "Ali, as the host, it's very rude of you to disappear at the banquet. Give everyone a toast as an apology." Although Qin Mengli didn't really reveal her identity just now, she didn't give anyone a good look at this moment. She casually picked up a cup of wine, drank it in one gulp and ignored them. Everyone at the banquet quickly returned the toast and turned the page of awkwardness. Some people at the banquet were the first to turn the page, but some didn't want to. Yi Feng stood up directly and bowed to Qin Wanqiu. "Father-in-law, today is your 50th birthday, and Qin City values martial arts. I'm tired of the singing and dancing at the banquet. Why don't I present a martial arts competition to liven things up for you?" Qin Wanqiu picked up a huge wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Of course, he knew what Yi Feng was planning to do, but he didn't stop him at all. He didn't even look at Yang Dingtian and said directly, "All right." Yi Feng instantly smiled and said to Yang Dingtian, "Commander Shen, you've been promoted by Madame Qin to be an insignificant person. I'm sure your martial arts skills are outstanding. How about you be my opponent in this martial arts competition?" Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "Deference is no substitute for obedience. Please." Yi Feng left his seat and walked to the center of the hall with his sword. Instantly, the dancers in the hall quickly retreated, emptying out an empty space of thousands of square meters. Yang Dingtian carried a huge box and walked to the center of the hall slowly. He opened the box and took out the huge and mighty Sky Devil blade. Yi Feng said, "Father-in-law, tonight is your birthday banquet and a joyous occasion. There shouldn't be any bloodshed. However, Qin City is iron-blooded and mighty. This shouldn't be a taboo, right? In the martial arts competition later, if there's any mishap, or if there's blood or injuries, please forgive me, father-in-law." "Yes," Qin Wanqiu said directly. Instantly, everyone's face turned serious. Everyone knew that White Cloud City wanted to seek justice for Yi Wuzhing. They wanted to kill Yang Dingtian, to take revenge for Qin Mengli's rudeness just now. Moreover, Qin Wanqiu also agreed to it. He expressed that he wanted to punish Qin Mengli, and also expressed that he had no intention of breaking the alliance between Qin City and White Cloud City. Therefore, everyone looked at Yang Dingtian with eyes that were filled with sympathy. In their eyes, Qin Mengli's lover was dead meat. However, their sympathy was limited. They were already disdainful and despised Yang Dingtian's role as a boy toy. Swords and sabers are merciless. Life and death are up to the heavens. Commander Shen, please." Yi Feng slowly pulled out his weapon and said coldly. Chapter 227. Swords and sabers are merciless, life and death are up to the heavens. Commander Shen, please. Yi Feng slowly pulled out his weapon and said coldly. His weapon was a sword and saber. The so-called sword and saber were blades with the lower part as the blade, and the upper part as the sword. It could be used for both sprinting and slashing. It was considered a very special and sharp weapon. Yi Feng's status was very high, and he was rich in White Cloud City. Therefore, Yi Feng's sword and saber were completely made of bloody black gold. They were priceless weapons in the world. Yang Dingtian also pulled out his huge and mighty Sky Devil saber and said indifferently, "Swords and sabers are merciless, life and death are up to the heavens. Sky Horizon Rainbow Sword Art, take my sword." Yi Feng slashed with his sword, and a golden rainbow suddenly burst out from the center of the hall and slashed towards Yang Dingtian. Sky Horizon Rainbow Sword Art was White Cloud City's exclusive sword art. It was an 8th grade martial technique, and it was the signature martial technique of the city lords. This sword art could be said to be world famous. Although it was only an 8th grade martial technique, it was one of the rare martial technique manuals that could be used with swords and sabers. The martial technique manuals in the world had very strict requirements for weapons. Most of them were swords, then sabers, demon-subduing pestles, huge staffs and other weapons. Pig-slaying sword art and chaotic heaven destroyer sword were manuals that specialized in swords. Wind Ripple Evil Saber was a manual that specialized in sabers. Sky Horizon Rainbow sword art could be used with swords and sabers, so it was world famous. Yifeng paid a huge price to forge the bloody black gold saber and sword for this sword art. At this moment, Yifeng's slash was the first move of Sky Horizon Rainbow sword art. It was more than 15 meters long, and it was at the level of a 9-star martial mystic. Yang Dingtian held the Sky Devil saber in his hand tightly and circulated all the profound energy in his body to take Yifeng's first move. He didn't use any technique or any martial technique. Bang! There was a loud explosion as the golden rainbow slashed onto Yang Dingtian's Sky Devil flame saber. It instantly exploded and turned into thousands of radiance, illuminating the entire hall as though it was daytime. Yifeng saw that Yang Dingtian actually took this move and was stunned. He sneered in his heart. "Idiot, you're courting death." Yi Wuzhing's face became even more ferocious. He wished that Yang Dingtian would immediately be smashed into pieces and die a miserable death. Qin Mengli immediately stood up in shock. After the loud noise, the golden light dissipated. Only then did everyone see Yang Dingtian's appearance clearly. His brocade robe was in tatters and his face was pale. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, but that was all. That's right, that's all. Yang Dingtian had many tricks up his sleeves, but they were all useless. He could only forcibly receive this move, a martial skill of a 9-star martial profound expert. As a result, his entire body shook violently, and he spat out a small mouthful of blood. Everyone was slightly startled when they saw Yang Ding's reaction. Yifeng's expression changed slightly. He did not expect that Shenlang would be able to receive his first move without using any technique. However, following this, Yifeng said with a cold smile, "Shenlang, you've got guts, huh? Since you dare to receive my sword and saber like this, why don't you try receiving another move?" "Sure," Yang Dingtian said. Young Lord Yi has also seen it. The main hall is currently having a birthday banquet, and there are guests everywhere. There are also fine wine and delicacies everywhere. If we were to engage in a frenzied battle, it would inevitably spoil the atmosphere. Therefore, let's have a more refined martial arts contest. I will receive 3 moves from you, and you receive 3 moves from me. How about it? When these words were spoken, everyone at the scene could not help but gasp, because this kind of martial arts contest was extremely disadvantageous to the side with the weaker cultivation. Then how do we determine the winner? The one who asked was actually Third Lady Gongsun. Yang Dingtian said, "Lord Qin is a Grandmaster class expert. Of course, you can determine the winner." "Alright, we'll do it this way." Qin Wanqiu frowned. Yifeng said coldly, "Then it's your turn now. You make your move, and I will receive it." Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "No need. I will make my move after you finish your 3 moves." When these words were spoken, everyone could not help but gasp. Was this Shenlang really crazy? Was he really tired of living? He was simply courting death. At this moment, Yifeng was so angry that he laughed instead. He did not even bother to conceal it as he revealed a sinister smile and said softly, "If you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." After which, he slowly raised the bloody black gold saber. "My second move is the rainbow of 7 colors. You can receive it again," Yifeng said. "Just now, I only used the rainbow of 7 colors, and you vomited blood. I want to see how you are going to die with my rainbow of 7 colors." Rainbow of 7 colors was the ultimate move of the Horizon Rainbow sword art. The 7 colors of the sword rainbow formed an extremely powerful rainbow bridge. Compared to the first move, the golden rainbow, it might not be 7 times stronger, but it was at least 3 to 4 times stronger. Just like what Yifeng said, Yang Dingtian vomited blood with just the first move. Next was the rainbow of 7 colors, which was 3 to 4 times stronger. Theoretically, Yang Dingtian would not be able to receive it no matter what. Yang Dingtian stood on the spot and held the Sky Devil flame saber with both hands as he stared at Yifeng without moving. Primal Chaos Horizon Boundless Rainbow. Yifeng immediately brandished the saber and sword in his hand. Immediately, the center of the hall was filled with light and shadow. His graceful figure flashed in all directions. At the same time, sword rainbows began to condense above his head. Golden, blood red, sky blue, jade green, grass green, orange and purple. The first sword rainbow only took 2 to 3 seconds to condense, while the last purple sword rainbow took a full minute. When the rainbow of 7 colors was completely formed, it was 6 to 7 meters long and floated in the air above the hall. It was magnificent like a dream. It was beautiful, but it was filled with killing intent that soared to the heavens. After the rainbow of 7 colors was completely condensed, Yifeng did not slash out. Instead, he continued to condense and imbue profound qi. Immediately, the colors of the rainbow of 7 colors became more and more vibrant, more and more dazzling. This was the fatal power of the Horizon Rainbow sword art. This sword art was actually only a middle grade 8 martial skill. Relying on this grade, it was not enough to shock the world. What truly made it famous was this ultimate move, the rainbow of 7 colors. This was because it was the martial skill that was most similar to a profound skill. Most importantly, after a normal martial skill was condensed, it would directly attack. It would be as powerful as it should be. However, the rainbow of 7 colors was different. After the 7 sword rainbows were fully condensed, it could not be released immediately. Instead, it could accumulate power and continue to imbue profound qi into it. Then, the power of the rainbow of 7 colors would become stronger and stronger. This was very frightening. Yifeng's rainbow of 7 colors was 3 to 4 times more powerful than the first move. At this moment, he was still imbuing profound qi into it, causing its power to increase continuously. This was completely trying to kill Yang Dingtian. Therefore, at this moment, the hall was completely silent. Everyone could feel the murderous intent inside, and their faces instantly turned solemn. As for Qin Mengli, her beautiful face was completely pale. Her beautiful eyes were filled with terror. Her nimble and delicate nails had completely pierced into her palms, and were already dripping with blood. However, she did not notice it at all. Condense, condense. Yifeng was still condensing profound qi. Moreover, the murderous intent on his face became more and more intense, and his expression became more and more ferocious. In the end, Yifeng condensed the rainbow of 7 colors to its maximum. At this moment, the rainbow of 7 colors floating in the air was already dazzling. It suppressed the entire brightly lit hall until it was dark and dull. Dai Shim Lang. Yifeng suddenly roared violently. Then, the sword in his hand slashed down violently. Suddenly, a hurricane blew across the entire hall, causing all the lights to dim. Then, an explosive sound was heard, and the air suddenly became boiling hot. Roar! There was a dragon roar and a tiger roar. The rainbow of 7 colors above Yifeng's head transformed into an extremely ferocious rainbow of 7 colors dragon. It suddenly pounced on Yang Dingtian. This rainbow of 7 colors dragon was more than 100 feet in size. It was completely a huge creature. And in front of it, Yang Dingtian seemed so insignificant. He was really like a small tree in front of a storm and lightning, unable to withstand a single blow. When the rainbow of 7 colors dragon appeared, everyone's expression changed. This was because Yifeng was no longer a martial skill. After the rainbow of 7 colors dragon, he made use of the energy to add a mystic skill, the illusory amorous dragon technique. Without a doubt, Yifeng was acting shamelessly. However, no one would care. In the midst of the wild roar, the ferocious rainbow of 7 colors dragon suddenly appeared in front of him. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow Yang Dingtian. Chapter 228. Yang Dingtian raised the sky devil blade in his hand and waved it crazily. On the surface, he was using the 3rd move of the wind ripple evil blade, splashing ink gale. In reality, he was using the 1st move of the 3rd stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship, Yin-Yang Qi transformation technique. Even though Yang Dingtian was full of confidence in this battle, he could not help but have doubts in his heart. Because of Yifeng's shamelessness, the power of this move was not 3 to 4 times stronger than the 1st move, Golden Rainbow. It was 8 to 9 times stronger, or even more. This Yifeng was going to put Yang Dingtian to death in his 2nd move. Yang Dingtian had just received Yifeng's 1st move, Golden Rainbow, and was so shaken that he vomited blood. Now this move, seven-colored rainbow, together with the illusory amorous dragon technique, had about 10 times the power. Yang Dingtian alone would not be able to receive it. So now, it would depend on the power of the yin-yang qi transformation technique. If the third stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship was really a supreme scripture, then Yang Dingtian's transformation technique would be able to receive the third move. If the yin-yang qi transformation technique was not powerful enough, then Yang Dingtian would be defeated tonight. He might even die here. Roar! That rainbow-colored dragon opened its ferocious mouth to its limit. Meanwhile, Yang Dingtian brandished the sky devil flame saber and charged into its terrifying mouth. So at this moment, no one knew if Yang Dingtian had charged in, or if he had been swallowed by the light dragon. But immediately, no one could see Yang Dingtian's figure anymore. It was as if he had been completely swallowed by the seven-colored light dragon. Then, this huge dragon circled and roared crazily, as if it wanted to crush Yang Dingtian into pieces. Yi Feng kept his blade and sword and revealed a proud smile. This was the effect he wanted. Not only did he want to kill his opponent, he wanted to kill him in the most gorgeous way. Shen Lang and Qin Mengli's love was a complete provocation to White Cloud City. White Cloud City had no way to deal with Qin Mengli, but they could completely kill Shen Lang. This was also a warning to everyone in the world. It was fine to play around with a stunning beauty like Qin Mengli, but if anyone wanted to take it seriously, they would definitely die. As for Yi Wujing at this moment, his ferocious face relaxed slightly, and his elegant and dignified expression gradually recovered. When Yi Wuqing saw Yang Dingtian being swallowed by the giant light dragon, the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer. He no longer looked at the battle in the hall. Instead, he raised his wine cup and calmly toasted Qin Wanchou. Although Qin Wanchou's expression was not very happy, he still accepted Yi Wuqing's toast. He picked up the cup in front of him and drank it in one gulp. Third Lady Gongsun looked at the center of the battlefield with interest. As for Dongfang Bingling, she was still high and mighty. She did not put the competition in front of her in her eyes. She was in a daze, as if she was not at the birthday banquet at all. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's entire body was enveloped by a powerful energy crazily. An incomparably powerful energy crazily poured into his body, crazily trying to tear apart everything in Yang Dingtian's body. Fire transformation art. Fire transformation art. Fire transformation art. Yang Dingtian crazily used the same move, the first move of the yin-yang qi transformation art, the fire transformation art. In an instant, countless fiery profound energy crazily poured into Yang Dingtian's body and was crazily dissolved. It turned into pure profound energy and continuously poured into his qi. This yin-yang qi transformation art was indeed incomparably powerful and mysterious. The fiery profound energy that surged in was actually quickly dissolved. Moreover, as Yang Dingtian became more proficient in the qi transformation art, the amount of fiery profound energy that could be dissolved increased. However, even so, Yang Dingtian still discovered. At this moment, his yin-yang qi transformation art was already barely able to dissolve the profound energy of a 9-star martial mystic expert. The remaining profound energy was still harming Yang Dingtian. However, even so, the scene in the center of the hall was already extremely stunning. Almost everyone thought that Yang Dingtian was dead for sure. However, the situation immediately changed. The color of the giant light dragon suddenly became fainter and fainter. In the end, it did not look like it was circling, but instead, it looked like it was struggling. Bang! Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Yang Dingtian, who was wielding the sky devil flame saber, suddenly soared into the sky. After that, a crack was suddenly torn open in the giant light dragon. Yang Dingtian tore open a crack in the giant energy dragon, and then broke out. After rushing out, Yang Dingtian suddenly landed on the ground. The sky devil blade in his hand crazily slashed at the giant dragon. Everyone was stupefied. Was this a joke? This giant dragon was not a real creature. It was only a fake dragon formed from fire attribute profound energy. Now, Shen Lang was actually using a real blade to chop at the fake energy dragon. If this was not crazy, then what? However, the next scene made them almost go crazy. because as Yang Dingtian's blade chopped down, the giant void dragon actually shattered piece by piece and was chopped off section by section. Go! In the end, Yang Dingtian suddenly roared and drilled back into the body of the giant light dragon. Then, the sky devil blade in his hand crazily slashed. Break! There was a loud sound and a dazzling radiance. In an instant, the giant light dragon was smashed into pieces and turned into ashes. It turned into tens of thousands of flaming radiance and disappeared in the air like resplendent fireworks. Finally, Yang Dingtian withdrew his sword and stood there. Yifeng looked as though he was struck by lightning. He looked at Yang Dingtian in a daze. He was completely unable to imagine that such a thing would actually happen. This was simply too presumptuous and absurd. It was too crazy. Not only Yifeng, but Yi Wuxing was so shocked that he was completely speechless. As for Yi Wuxing, he didn't even have the time to pour the wine into his mouth, and directly poured it out. However, he didn't feel it at all. Du Fengwu's beautiful eyes lit up. Then, her gaze congealed on Yang Dingtian's face. She revealed an astonished expression, but it was unknown what her expression meant. Dongfang Bingling seemed to have noticed the battle situation for the first time. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Yang Dingtian indifferently. However, it was merely an indifferent glance. She immediately shifted her gaze away and didn't care anymore. Instead, it was Qin Wanqiu and Qin Huayu who looked at Yang Dingtian with serious eyes for the first time. As for Qin Mengli, her originally pale and colorless face instantly flushed red. Boundless surprise made her beautiful eyes ripple. Her ecstatic face made her look even more beautiful and unparalleled. Yang Dingtian looked at Yifeng and said indifferently, "Young Lord Yifeng, you still have the third move." In an instant, Yifeng's body trembled violently. That's right, there was still the third move. However, Yifeng's heart was already wavering. For the second move, not only did he use the rainbow, but he also shamelessly used a mystic skill. It was obviously two moves combined into one, but he purposely pretended to be one move. This was such a fatal move. Originally, he was extremely confident in his heart. He felt that he would definitely be able to kill this Shen Lang. However, he didn't expect that he wouldn't be able to kill Shen Lang. Instead, it led to such a stunning performance from Shen Lang. It was as though all his previous prowess had become Shen Lang's foundation. There was still the third move, but Yifeng didn't prepare for it at all. The second move was so powerful, yet it still couldn't kill Shen Lang. Now, he really didn't know what to do with the third move. Therefore, he couldn't help but look at his father Yi Wuxing. Yi Wuxing felt his son's gaze, and his expression changed instantly. He said coldly, "Are you muddle-headed? It's just a slip of the rainbow. How many more powerful moves do you have that you haven't used? Have you forgotten the mystic skills that your uncle taught you?" Once he said that, Yifeng's expression changed slightly. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. Instantly, Yang Dingtian felt that something was wrong. That's right. The fear in Yifeng's eyes made Yang Dingtian feel that something was wrong. Who was Yi Wuxing's uncle? Zhu Qingzhu, the sect leader of the Black Heaven sect Zhu Qingzhu. After the hidden sect went into seclusion, and Dongfang Minmi and Shimen Wuya were no longer around, the sect leader of the Black Heaven sect, Zhu Qingzhu, became the true number one person in the world. The soul-devouring mystic qi that he used to kill Shimen Wuya was still vivid in Yang Dingtian's mind. The profound skill that you taught Yifeng was extremely powerful, and even extremely abnormal. It was completely imaginable, and even Yifeng himself felt afraid. Many of the people present were experts with extremely high cultivation. Therefore, the trace of fear that Yifeng revealed was immediately noticed by everyone. Instantly, the gazes of many people present became complicated and strange. Yifeng was an extremely sensitive person. He had an almost morbid selfishness and arrogance. After feeling those gazes, he felt as if there was a fire burning in his heart. Then, his eyes suddenly burned with a demonic light. The gaze that he looked at Yang Dingtian with was also instantly filled with deep-rooted hatred. He must kill Shen Lang. The person in front of him must die. Although that mystic skill filled him with fear and gave him nightmarish memories, as long as he could kill the person in front of him, everything was worth it. Then, Yifeng revealed a sinister smile at Yang Dingtian and said, "The third move. Yes, there's still the third move." At this moment, he did not pose any threat. However, the gaze that he looked at Yang Dingtian with was as if he was looking at a dead person. Then, he raised the sharp sword in his hand and began to dance lightly. That's right, it was only a light dance. Moreover, it looked like a very ordinary movement. It was completely casual as he waved the sword in his hand. There was no sense of beauty, nor was there any profoundness. It was just a casual wave. 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's expression became incomparably solemn. He instinctively felt a dangerous aura. When he waved the 4th move, the entire hall suddenly darkened. All of the candlelight gently swayed. There was no wind. However, these candlelight seemed to have met something terrifying. Suddenly it shrunk. Therefore, the entire hall became dark. The 5th move, the 6th move, the 7th move. Then the brightly lit hall became darker and darker. Darker and darker. This was not an illusion. It was also not a contrast of light. It really did become dark. All of the candlelight in the hall seemed to be swallowed by some kind of special energy. Then, everyone present clearly felt as if there was a lot of energy rushing towards Yifeng's body. Chapter 229. After that, everyone present could clearly feel that there was a lot of energy that was rushing towards Yifeng's body. As Yifeng's sword dance got faster and faster, his body seemed to have formed an energy whirlpool that started to devour all the mystic qi in the surroundings. Over a dozen meters, a few dozen meters, a few hundred meters, a few thousand meters. All the energy was rushing towards Yifeng's body. His sword dance got faster and faster, but it was just fast. There was no elegance or profoundness. Gradually, Yifeng's body was enveloped by a dark gray color. His handsome face got paler and paler until there was no trace of blood. It was so pale that it was frightening. Only his eyes got redder and redder. At this moment, Yang Dingtian really felt that it was extremely dangerous. Yifeng was frenziedly devouring all the mystic qi in the surroundings. He didn't even let go of the energy that was released by the candle flame. But what Yang Dingtian couldn't understand was why these energies didn't explode and turn into smithereens when he swallowed them without purifying or refining them. After all, these were all combat xian qi, not cultivation xian qi. The difference between cultivation mystic qi and combat mystic qi was like heaven and earth. Combat mystic qi was used for combat, while cultivation mystic qi was used to increase cultivation and break through the sea of qi. A person would only need a few hours to absorb the combat mystic qi and fill up the entire mystic qi and sea of qi. In order for cultivation mystic qi to fill up the sea of qi to the point of breaking through, it would require half a year or even more. Therefore, cultivation mystic qi was completely extracted from combat mystic qi, and it wasn't even 1% of it. At this moment, Yifeng was actually devouring all the combat mystic qi within 1,000 meters and didn't shatter into pieces. This was too strange, and Yang Dingtian couldn't understand it at all. But Yang Dingtian was sure that this wasn't some famous sex cultivation technique. It was definitely an evil cultivation technique. Soon enough, Yang Dingtian also confirmed this judgment, because he saw a disdainful and mocking smile from the corner of Dugu Fengwu's mouth. He could even feel that even Qin Wanchou's eyes had shrunk slightly. Many of the people present were experts. Without a doubt, they had recognized the evil nature of Yifeng's cultivation method. However, none of them spoke out, nor did they point it out. This world was truly absurd. Yang Dingtian did not use the evil soul arts, but he was slandered as a spy for evil ways. However, the Tiando League members turned a blind eye to Yifeng's blatant use of evil techniques. It seemed that the so-called good and evil cannot coexist, and the so-called evil ways will lead to death, were all empty words. Perhaps it had become a political weapon in the hands of the upper echelons of the Tiando League. At this time, an endless amount of profound energy was still condensing in Yifeng's body. Yifeng, whose entire body was wrapped in powerful energy, had already completely revealed an energy might that did not match him. 9-star martial mystic experts, martial ancestor experts, 1-star martial ancestor experts, 2-star martial ancestor experts, 3-star martial ancestor experts, 4-star martial ancestor experts. The energy in Yifeng's body continued to swell, increase and become stronger. Qin Mengli was not outstanding in martial arts. However, she had already noticed that something was amiss. She anxiously pleaded to Qin Wanqiu. "Brother, quickly stop the competition. I don't believe that you have not noticed anything amiss." Qin Wanqiu coldly glared at her and said, "He is courting death. He can't blame anyone else." Qin Mengli's tears fell as she sobbed. "Brother, I beg you. Don't let him die. I will immediately ask him to leave and stay far away. I guarantee that I will cut all ties with him." Qin Wanqiu said indifferently, "It's too late. Moreover, you are responsible for half of his death." Qin Mengli suddenly smiled sadly and said, "This is your Taekwondo League? This is your prestigious sect? I am really ashamed of all of you." After speaking, Qin Mengli suddenly stood up. She pulled out her dagger and was about to rush towards Yifeng. Qin Wanqiu's expression turned cold. However, a trace of heartache flashed across his eyes. He gently flicked his sleeve at Qin Mengli. Instantly, before Qin Mengli could stand up straight, she fell onto the table and fainted. However, she looked as though she was drunk from the alcohol. Yang Dingtian saw Qin Mengli fainted on the table from the corner of his eye. His heart softened slightly. He then looked at Yifeng, who was in front of him. Yifeng was already filled with an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Just a moment ago, Yang Dingtian only felt a sense of danger. However, now Yang Dingtian felt a sense of fatal danger. He had to save himself. Otherwise, he would really die here, because Yifeng's energy level was still increasing. "Master, what exactly is going on?" Yang Dingtian asked in his heart. With Yifeng's cultivation, he is completely unable to devour and control such a large amount of battle celestial qi. He should have already been smashed into pieces. Why is he still devouring energy continuously? After Dongfang Minmi looked for a while, he said in shock, "This is the devil encirclement mystic art. It is the evil ways of the joyous palace. Others might not recognize it, but it is impossible for Qin Wanqiu to not recognize it. How did the Taekwondo League degenerate to such an extent?" The number one power of the evil ways was the Temple of Annihilation. The next two powers were the Joyous Palace and the Temple of Blood. The Joyous Palace was on the left while the Temple of Blood was on the right. Therefore, the Joyous Palace was even more mysterious and powerful than the Temple of Blood. In the evil ways, the Joyous Palace was second only to the Temple of Annihilation. This devil encirclement mystic art came from the evil ways of the Joyous Palace. This devil encirclement mystic art is not a martial skill or a mystic skill. It is a type of evil cultivation technique. In the evil ways, its position is below the evil soul art. However, it is still extremely powerful and terrifying. This cultivation technique can allow one's cultivation to increase by around 10 levels in a short period of time. You said that Yifeng is a 9-star martial mystic expert. After using this cultivation technique, he can temporarily become a 9-star martial ancestor expert. Dongfang Minmi said, "As for why he can devour so much battle mystic qi and not die a horrible death, I am also not clear on the specific principle. However, it is probably because he can use the cultivation technique to create another temporary qi sea. This temporary sea of qi was an energy formation that was rotating at a very fast speed. This kind of energy formation, because it is rapidly rotating, it forms a huge energy whirlpool. It can envelop and condense energy that is 10 times larger than itself. Therefore, the battle mystic qi that he devours is not stored in the qi sea. Instead, it is stored in another rapidly rotating temporary qi sea." Yang Dingtian said in shock, "This cultivation technique is so powerful. If it is used by a great grandmaster expert, wouldn't there be no opponent in the world?" "It is not like that," Dongfang Minmi said. "The consequences of using this cultivation technique are very, very serious. After using it once, one's cultivation will regress by several years or even longer. Furthermore, when it explodes at the end, this kind of energy will bring an intense energy memory to the mystic veins. In the future, there will be a huge bottleneck in cultivation. Therefore, any true expert is extremely wary of using this cultivation technique, even if it is an expert of the evil ways. Yang Dingtian was immediately startled. This Yi Feng is the young master of White Cloud City, Yi Wuqing's son and his future successor. He did not expect that in order to kill Yang Dingtian, Yi Wuqing would be willing to pay such a huge price. It is truly shocking. However, Yang Dingtian quickly threw this question to the side, because his master said that this Yi Feng can use this cultivation technique to temporarily enter the 9-star martial ancestor realm. Facing such a level of fatal attack, Yang Dingtian will really die. Yang Dingtian did not expect that the battle would end up like this. This Yi Feng actually knows the Joyous Palace's evil cultivation technique. Master, then what is the method to break this devil encirclement profound art? Yang Dingtian asked anxiously. Dongfang Minmi asked. If you asked me 10 years ago, I would definitely be at my wit's end. However, in these 10 years I have been sealed in ice. Thus I spent all my time thinking. The method to break this devil encirclement profound art, an evil soul art, is the core of my thinking. Currently, I am still at a loss with regards to the evil soul art. However, I have a method to break this devil encirclement profound art. What method? Yang Dingtian quickly asked. For others it is incomparably difficult to achieve this, or even impossible, Dongfang Minmi said. But for you, it is completely easy. Chapter 230. This is another temporary qi, created by Yi Feng using an evil technique. It is constantly rotating at a rapid speed. This way it can wrap up the incomparably powerful energy. Therefore, it is very simple to break this devil encirclement mysterious art. Destroy his temporary qi. How do you destroy it? It is to make the energy outside stagnate and stop it from rotating rapidly. Once the rotation stops, even if it is only for less than half a second, this temporary qi will not be able to wrap up the powerful energy and will explode in an instant. Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian hurriedly asked. Then how do I make this temporary qi stop rotating? Dongfang Minmi said. For others it may be completely impossible, but for you it may be easy. Really? Yang Dingtian suddenly felt excited and hurriedly asked. What method? Dongfang Minmi said. This temporary virtual qi is outside the body, but it is a complete energy body. Moreover, it is unstable, so it is impossible to find where this temporary qi is. But when the energy is condensed to the extreme and is about to launch an attack, this temporary qi will instantly light up and then fiercely shoot over. After hitting your body, it will violently explode. At that time, you will only have one ending, and that is to be smashed to pieces. According to your Earth's time, it will not exceed 1/10 of a second until this temporary qi lights up and hits your body. Therefore, your speed must be very, very fast. When you see the glowing energy body, you must immediately slash out a blade rainbow and concentrate the energy body of this virtual qi. Yang Dingtian. Is that all? Of course not. Dongfang Minmi said. The next step is the most important. Most of the blade rainbow you slash out is fire attribute energy, but there is also a trace of ice energy inside. Because that virtual qi is rapidly rotating with fire attribute energy. At this time, as long as a little ice attribute energy penetrates, the temporary qi will stop. Then, the rapidly rotating temporary qi will instantly stop, and the incomparably powerful energy contained within will instantly explode. Then, Yi Feng's fatal strike will become formless and will directly explode in the air. Yang Dingtian. Master, then if Yi Feng encounters an ice attribute martial artist, won't this devil encirclement mysterious art be directly finished? Of course not. Dongfang Minmi said. This temporary sea of qi contains a lot of energy and has an extremely strong exclusiveness. Therefore, if one directly used ice energy to attack, the ice energy would turn invisible before it could even get close. Therefore, the ice energy had to be hidden within the fire energy. That way, the illusory sea of energy would treat the attack as fire energy and devour it. At this time, the ice energy would also enter the sea of energy. In this virtual energy sea, there is a completely pure and highly condensed fire elemental energy body. If even a little bit of ice elemental energy seeps in, it will directly explode. Yang Dingtian immediately understood. This devil encirclement profound art was something that other people would be completely helpless against. This was because it was absolutely impossible for fire attribute martial artists to release ice attribute energy. But Yang Dingtian can, because he has the ice attribute Xian talisman on him, which can release ice attribute energy. Of course, there was another problem. That was how to wrap the ice attribute energy within the fire attribute energy. This was an almost unsolvable problem, because the fire attribute energy and ice attribute energy were natural enemies. They were absolutely incompatible. When a small amount of ice attribute energy met a huge amount of fire attribute energy, there was only one result, and that was to be directly devoured. This problem, perhaps no one in the world could solve it, but Yang Dingtian could, because Yang Dingtian knew the yin-yang qi transformation art. Of course, with his current strength, he was completely unable to transform the fire attribute energy into ice attribute energy. In fact, Yang Dingtian felt that even a grandmaster-level powerhouse could not do it, because this was from the extreme yang to the extreme yin. However, Yang Dingtian could transform the fire attribute energy into pure xianqi energy, and then use the pure xianqi energy to wrap around the ice attribute energy. In this way, the pure xianqi energy would wrap around the ice attribute energy, and the fire attribute energy would wrap around the pure xianqi energy. In this way, it was a perfect balance. Therefore, Dongfang Minmi said that how to crack the devil encirclement Xian record might be completely impossible for others, but for Yang Dingtian, it was as easy as turning over his hand. Because Yang Dingtian had the ice attribute Xian talisman, and also knew the yin-yang qi transformation art, the communication between Yang Dingtian and his master seemed to take a long time. But because Dongfang Minmi's divine sense was in Yang Dingtian's mind, this was completely a communication of consciousness, and these exchanges were almost instantaneous. After understanding how to do it, Yang Dingtian directly reached into the space ring, took out the ice attribute Xian talisman in the palm of his hand, and then injected Xian qi. After the Xian qi passed through the ice attribute Xian talisman, it immediately turned into ice attribute Xian qi energy and wrapped around Yang Dingtian's palm. Then Yang Dingtian released a stream of fire attribute Xian qi energy, and at the same time, used the yin-yang qi transformation art's first move, the fire transformation art, and immediately turned this stream of fire attribute xianqi energy into pure xianqi energy, and then completely wrapped up the weak ice attribute xianqi energy from before. Finally, Yang Dingtian crazily injected fire attribute xianqi energy into the sky devil saber in his hand, wrapping this pure xianqi energy. This energy accumulated and became more and more powerful, and finally reached the limit of Yang Dingtian's one-star martial mystic realm expert. After doing all this, Yang Dingtian injected this energy into the Sky Devil Saber, and through the Sky Devil Saber's enhancement, this energy immediately increased by 25%. Suddenly, the Sky Devil Saber in Yang Dingtian's hand turned red. Yang Dingtian's actions let everyone know that he had already used his Xian Qi to the limit, and was prepared to block Yifeng's fatal blow. However, everyone present felt that Yang Dingtian was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Everyone felt this way. If they knew the stories from Earth, they would definitely describe Yang Dingtian's actions as Don Quixote rushing towards a windmill, because it was completely useless. Among the people present, there were no less than a few dozen martial honorable realm experts. This group of people could completely see that Yang Dingtian's Xian Qi was at 1-star martial mystic realm expert, and Yifeng's energy was at 9-star martial ancestor realm expert. The difference between the two's energy was like heaven and earth, and it was even a difference of several dozen times. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's resistance was completely negligible. Therefore, in the hearts of the experts present, although this martial arts competition was dishonorable, there was only one ending, and that was that Yang Dingtian would be completely smashed into pieces, and he would die without a doubt. Although there were people who felt indignant in their hearts, no one would offend White Cloud City because of this matter. Although this Shun Lang in front of them died unjustly, there was no other way. Who asked him to not know his own limits? Who asked his existence to destroy the alliance between the Northwest Qin City and White Cloud City? This included Yi Wuqing and Yi Wuzheng. They completely disdained Yang Dingtian's desperate resistance. In their hearts, this Yang Dingtian was already dead without a doubt. At this moment, Yifeng finally condensed his Xianqi energy to the extreme. Indeed, as his master Dongfang Minmi had said, the Xianqi energy that this devil encirclement mysterious art could condense was at 9-star martial ancestor realm. At this moment, Yifeng's face was completely like a ghost's. It was already unclear which parts of his eyes were the pupils, and which parts were the scare of his eyes. He was completely like a demon. Shun Lang, you can die now. Yifeng suddenly let out a strange roar. Then 2 inches in front of his chest, a ball of energy suddenly lit up. This was the virtual energy sea outside his body, and it was actually only the size of a fist. The Xianqi energy of a 9-star martial ancestor realm was actually condensed to the size of a fist. It could be seen how compressed and condensed the energy inside was. With such a small volume, one could only wait until it lit up. Otherwise, it would be completely impossible to capture it. The moment this powerful energy body lit up, the energy within Yang Dingtian's Sky Devil Saber suddenly burst out and shot towards this energy body. At the same time, the fist-sized energy body in front of Yifeng's chest, which was even more dazzling than the sun, suddenly shot out. It instantly expanded and struck towards Yang Dingtian. Boom! Suddenly there was a violent explosion. As if a missile had exploded, a dazzling light suddenly exploded in the middle of the main hall, causing everyone's eyes to be temporarily blinded. Immediately, many people present closed their eyes. They couldn't bear to see Yang Dingtian's body being smashed into pieces. Most of them were members of the Tiando League, and were very snobbish. However, they still didn't want to see the ugly scene in front of them. Then, a powerful energy suddenly swept out in all directions, destroying everything in its path. The golden bricks on the ground instantly turned into fine powder. The huge metal pillars instantly shattered. Originally, all the tables and banquets in the main hall would have been smashed into pieces. However, almost everyone present was an expert. Therefore, at the moment of the explosion, profound energy instantly surged out from their bodies and completely protected the surrounding few meters. Therefore, when the energy wave of the explosion hit, only the air shook a little. The delicacies and wine on the tables were unharmed. Then, this energy suddenly burst out from the main hall. In an instant, the maids, servants, and guards in the square outside were all silently sent flying. They were violently vomiting blood in the air. The trees in the square were instantly smashed into pieces. The huge stone pillars were instantly broken in the middle. The aftermath of this explosion only completely dissipated after it reached a distance of 1,000 meters away. Shun Lang, when you reincarnate as a human in your next life, you better open your eyes. There are some people that you can't offend, and there are also some people that you can't touch. Once you make a mistake, only death awaits you. Yifeng said faintly as the terrifying light gradually dissipated. Although everyone already knew the outcome, after hearing Yifeng's voice, their hearts still sank. This Shun Lang was still dead in the end. Although to everyone present, this Shun Lang was just a passerby. Compared to Yifeng's despicable and shameless behavior, this Shun Lang seemed so bright and precious. After Yifeng's arrogant sneer, the main hall was still silent. There was no response. Chapter 231. After Yifeng's arrogant and unbridled sneer, the whole place was still silent, and there was no response. Yifeng bowed towards Qin Wanchou's direction and said, "Father-in-law, your son-in-law has finished the competition. I defeated and killed my opponent. I hope this will make you more interested in drinking." After saying that, Yifeng did not wait for Qin Wanchou's response, and was about to return to his seat. Even though they had a marriage alliance with the Northwest Qin City, the people of the White Cloud City were still rather arrogant. Everyone was silent as they watched Yifeng return to his seat. Regarding this competition, no one applauded to celebrate Yi Feng's victory, because as long as one was proficient in martial arts, they would know that Yi Feng's last move was shameless. Just at this moment, suddenly, a faint voice rang out. "Young Lord Yi, you've only used 3 moves. I haven't even started yet. Why are you in such a hurry to return to your seat?" Without a doubt, this was Yang Dingtian's voice. And from this voice, not only did he not die, he did not seem to be injured at all. He did not seem to be weak at all. Instantly, the whole place was silent. "Ghost!" After hearing Yang Dingtian's voice, Yi Feng suddenly screamed. It was unknown whether there were ghosts in this world, but the current Yang Dingtian was definitely not a ghost. Just now, the 9-star martial ancestor realm energy body that Yi Feng used evil technique to attack had exploded. However, it was still over 10 meters away from Yang Dingtian. This distance was almost negligible to Yang Dingtian's lethality. However, all of this happened too quickly. Moreover, the instant of the explosion was too dazzling. Almost everyone thought that this ball of powerful energy had exploded on Yang Dingtian's body. Just like what his master Dongfang Minmi said. As long as he grasped the rhythm of time, breaking Yi Feng's devil encirclement mysterious art was as easy as turning his hand for Yang Dingtian. After the intense light dissipated, everyone saw that Yang Dingtian was standing there perfectly fine. He was not injured at all. Only his hair was slightly messed up by the wind. Even his complexion was much better than Yi Feng's. When Yi Feng saw Yang Dingtian in perfect condition, it was as if he had seen a ghost. He completely collapsed. Looking at Yang Dingtian in horror, he pointed a trembling finger at Yang Dingtian and shrieked. "How is this possible? How could this be? How are you still alive?" This was also the same question in the hearts of everyone present. Yi Wuzhing's expression was not much better than Yi Feng's. His expression was completely frozen as he stared blankly at Yang Dingtian, who was standing there. At this moment, the White Cloud City Lord, Yi Wuxia, could no longer care about his deep shrewdness. His entire face contorted in an ugly manner. Even Qin Wanchou's face was filled with shock as he looked at Yang Dingtian. Of course, after Yi Feng used the devil encirclement profound art, he didn't care about the situation of the battle anymore. He really didn't expect such an outcome. One must know that the devil encirclement mysterious art was the most evil technique of the leader of evil ways, Joyous Palace. Almost no one present could think of a way to break it. However, this Shen Lang, who was merely a martial mystic, had actually managed to decipher it. Under such a powerful energy attack, he seemed to be unscathed. After being slightly shocked, Qin Wanchou's face suddenly revealed a smile as he waved his palm towards Qin Mengli. Instantly, the unconscious Qin Mengli woke up. After waking up, the first thing Qin Mengli did was to pull out her dagger and rush towards Yi Feng. However, just as she was about to stand up, she suddenly realized that Yang Dingtian was standing there perfectly fine, while Yi Feng's face was pale and colorless, as though he had lost his soul. Instantly, Qin Mengli's beautiful face revealed an inconceivable ecstasy. Then, tears gushed out and the dagger in her hand fell to the ground. She was truly unable to imagine how Yang Dingtian did it. But she was different from others. She wasn't concerned about how her beloved did it. She only cared about the fact that her beloved was standing there in perfect condition and had obtained victory. Yang Dingtian looked at Yi Feng calmly and smiled. "Young Lord Yi, you've finished your 3 moves. Now it's my turn. I'm going to use the first move of the 8th grade mystic skill, Devil Flame Saber Art, Flaming Frenzy Blade. Get ready." Yi Feng seemed to have lost his soul. It was as though he didn't hear Yang Dingtian's words. He stood there in a daze and didn't move at all. He was still muttering to himself. How is this possible? How is this possible? Yang Dingtian continued to remind him. "Young Lord Yi, you should be ready. I'm going to use my first move." Yi Feng still didn't have any reaction. "Yi Feng!" Yang Dingtian suddenly shouted. Instantly, Yi Feng was shocked and said, "What?" "Get ready to block. I'm going to use my first move, Flaming Frenzy Blade," Yang Dingtian said. "Oh, okay." Yi Feng made the most instinctive reaction. He held the saber and sword with both hands, and bent his legs slightly. He gathered his mystic qi and prepared to block Yang Dingtian's first move. Are you ready? Yang Dingtian asked. I'm ready, Yifeng said. But right now, he was already reacting instinctively. He didn't even know what he was talking about. However, in everyone's eyes, this Xin Lang was such a gentleman. And the previous Yifeng was so despicable and shameless. He was completely repaying evil with good. Demonic flame saber art, flaming frenzy blade. Yang Dingtian suddenly shouted, and the demonic blade in his hand suddenly appeared. Immediately, a blood-red flaming saber suddenly slashed out and struck towards Yifeng's chest. Bang! A crisp sound echoed. Immediately, Yifeng's body flew out. He violently vomited blood in the air. Like a straw, he flew out several dozen meters and fell onto the ground unconscious. One move. Just one move, and Yifeng was instantly killed. The arena was still as silent as before. Without a doubt, it was an instant kill. Because right now Yifeng was at his weakest. Just now, when he used the Devil Encirclement Profound Art and controlled 10 times the mystic qi energy, it already made all the energy in his body empty. So Yang Dingtian's 1-star martial mystic rank move, Flaming Frenzy Blade, instantly killed him. Right now, the unconscious Yifeng directly fell at Yi Wuqing's feet. The muscles on Yi Wuqing's face twitched. However, he hardened his heart and didn't carry his son up. Instead, he let him lie unconscious on the ground. After instantly killing Yifeng, Yang Dingtian sharpened his saber into its scabbard and bowed towards Qin Wanqiu, who was in the middle of the main hall. Xin Lang congratulates Lord Qin for having a long life and achieving great things. Once these words came out, everyone's gaze simultaneously looked towards Qin Wanqiu, waiting for him to express his stance. If Qin Wanqiu's attitude was good, then he would shed all pretenses with White Cloud City. If he didn't want to offend White Cloud City, then Qin Wanqiu should continue to treat Yang Dingtian coldly. So, everyone present wanted to see Qin Wanqiu's attitude. And right now, Qin Wanqiu didn't have any attitude at all. It was as if he didn't hear Yang Dingtian's words. Therefore, Yang Dingtian just stood there with his body bowed and didn't move. For a moment, the entire scene was in a deadlock. After Qin Mengli's ecstasy, she couldn't help but become anxious when she saw the deadlock. Her beautiful eyes turned, and she immediately thought of a plan. Xin Lang, today is my brother's 50th birthday. As the leader of my guards, don't you have any gifts to give? Qin Mengli's words were equivalent to giving both parties a way out. Moreover, she gave Yang Dingtian a chance to please Qin Wanqiu. Whether she could be together with Yang Dingtian or not, Qin Wanqiu's attitude was the most important factor. After Yang Dingtian heard this, he was slightly stunned. Everyone could tell that Yang Dingtian didn't prepare any gifts. However, not only did the crowd not despise him, but they also had a good impression of Yang Dingtian. This meant that he didn't want to please Lord Qin at all. Instantly, Qin Mengli glared fiercely at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian seemed to have woken up and started to search his body. After searching for a while, he finally found something. He pretended that he wasn't prepared at all, and was forced to take out this item. In reality, Yang Dingtian had prepared this item for a long time. He agreed to the duel with Yifeng, and risked his life to defeat Yifeng. It was all for this moment. Whether Yang Dingtian could obtain the other half of the Mystic Flame map from Qin Wanqiu and his son completely depended on this moment. It all depended on this present that he was going to present. This item was very simple and also very strange. Moreover, no one present knew what it was. Chapter 232. This item was very simple and also very strange. There was a bunch of animal hair stuck in a jade tube that was as thick as a finger. No one present knew what it was. Of course, they did not know that it was a writing brush because there was no writing brush in this world. This item is called a writing brush. It's what I use to write and paint. I hereby present it to Lord Qin as a gift for your 50th birthday, Yang Dingtian said respectfully. Instantly, everyone laughed secretly. Even Qin Wanqiu could not help but purse his lips slightly. Everyone present had given extremely valuable gifts. Only Xin Lang had only given a so-called writing brush. It was truly too shabby. The value of this item was not more than half a silver coin at best. It was really shabby to the extreme. Seeing that her sweetheart had only found such a shabby gift after searching for half a day, Qin Mingli felt both love and resentment. What a fool! Following that, Qin Mingli said, Shun Lang, your gift is too shabby. Furthermore, no one knows how to use this so-called writing brush of yours. Why don't you demonstrate it, and let everyone see the use of this writing brush of yours? Qin Mingli knew that her sweetheart was brimming with talent. Therefore, she wanted to let Yang Dingtian take the opportunity to show off. Oh yes, Yang Dingtian replied. Then, he said to the servant in the hall, I need a piece of white paper. Instantly, the servant looked at Qin Wanshou. Give it to him, Qin Wanshou said. Yes. The servant left respectfully. About a minute later, he came back with a piece of white paper that was about 1 square meter in size. Yang Dingtian took the white paper and laid it flat on the ground. Then he took a pot of wine and used the wine to grind the ink. Of course, the ink was made by him personally. Fortunately, it was not difficult. After grinding the ink, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath. The most crucial moment of tonight's performance had arrived. Whether or not he could obtain the other heaven and earth mystic flame map from Qin Wanshou would depend on this moment. After dipping the writing brush into the ink, Yang Dingtian started to paint on the white paper. Instantly, the entire hall fell silent. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the piece of white paper in front of Yang Dingtian and the brush in his hand. With a light flick of the brush, an irregular curve appeared in the painting. Everyone was slightly stunned. What the hell was this? Subsequently, Yang Dingtian's painting speed was extremely fast. 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, 1 curved, and 1 folded. Just a few dozen strokes. Everyone could tell that it was probably a grassland. Yang Dingtian's ink paintings focused on the spirit and not the form. Although it was only a few dozen strokes, the vast and empty grassland suddenly appeared on the paper. Although the scene wasn't very realistic, the distance, the breadth, and the feelings made it clear that this was a grassland. This was the charm of ink painting. There were painters in this world, but everyone pursued realism. Everything was for the sake of martial arts. It had almost nothing to do with art. Although Yang Dingtian's ink painting attainments were not high, in this art desert, it was enough to conquer anyone. After painting the rough scenery of the grassland, with a few more strokes, Yang Dingtian painted the strong grass. Then with a few more strokes he painted a few horses, cows, and sheep. Of course they were the horses, cows, and sheep of this world. Finally, with a few more strokes, Yang Dingtian painted the distant mountains, the sun, and the moon. Finally, Yang Dingtian wrote in this world's language on the blank space. Dongli River, at the foot of Mount Mang. The sky is like a dome, covering the wilderness. The sky is vast, and the wilderness is boundless. Cows and sheep are seen when the wind blows. After he finished writing, someone suddenly clicked his tongue. In this world, there was no poem that existed alone as an art. Almost everything in this world was for the sake of martial arts. After this poem was finished, everyone present was amazed. They only felt that it was good, but they didn't know what was good about it. However, from the bottom of their hearts, they felt that it was very, very good and very, very amazing. As for Qin Mingli, her beautiful eyes were already in a daze. She knew that her lover was different from everyone else in this world. She knew that her lover was brimming with talent, but she didn't expect her lover to be so stunning. As compared to that Yin Biaqin, he was simply an empty shell. Previously, she had actually been tempted by that man. Qin Mingli only felt a wave of embarrassment in her heart. She was truly too frivolous and shallow back then. Everyone present was amazed by Yang Dingtian's brand new art form. However, no one noticed that after seeing this painting, Qin Wanshou and Qin Huaiyu's gazes changed slightly before they quickly looked at each other. All of this happened in a flash. No one noticed it, including Yang Dingtian himself. This was because after Yang Dingtian finished painting, he bowed and handed it over. He didn't look at Qin Wanshou and Qin Huaiyu's expressions. He didn't dare to look, and he couldn't look. This was because the painting he painted was similar to the other half of the Mystic Flames map in his hands. There were even some similarities in some places. If Qin Wanshou and Qin Huaiyu had the other half of the Mystic Flames map, they would definitely be able to see it. At the very least, they would be able to sense it. This was because these two people were undoubtedly outstanding people in this world. They were also the smartest people. After finishing the painting, Yang Dingtian handed the painting over to the servant. He also handed over the brush in his hand. This was because the brush was the gift that was given out. This painting was just an accessory. After handing it over, Yang Dingtian stood at his original position respectfully. Even though he knew he shouldn't, his back was still breaking out in cold sweat. He was truly nervous to the extreme. This was his plan to obtain the other half of the Mystic Flames map. Whether it would succeed or not depended on this moment. Furthermore, this was completely a risk. He was risking his life. Now he had done what he needed to do. The next step was to wait for Qin Wancho's judgment. After receiving the brush and painting, Qin Wancho glanced at them. His gaze was like lightning as it condensed on Yang Dingtian's face for a long time. Yang Dingtian suppressed himself with all his might. He didn't allow himself to tremble, even though the speed of his cold sweat was getting faster and faster. The person in front of him was a Grandmaster-level expert. He was practically the strongest enemy that Yang Dingtian had ever encountered. There was no other. As long as he gently moved his finger, it would be enough to crush him to death. It didn't matter if Yang Dingtian had the deep-sea mystic clothes, or what other mystic talismans Yang Dingtian had. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was as weak as an ant in front of him. Qin Wancho only stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. At this moment, Qin Mengli didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Her beautiful face had turned pale and colorless. Her expression also became more and more frightened. Yang Dingtian tried his best to calm his breathing. He suppressed his nervous and even somewhat fearful emotions. After a full half a minute, Qin Wancho finally spoke. "Your talent is very high. I find it strange that I've just broken through to the martial mystic level when I'm almost 30 years old. Now I finally know the reason. You've spent all your energy on these unorthodox methods," Qin Wancho said. He then put down the painting and said indifferently, "In the future, you'll be Qin Mengli's guard leader." Then, Qin Wancho continued, "The birthday banquet will continue." Everyone was stunned. What did Qin Wancho mean by this attitude? It seemed like he was very distant to Xin Lang, but also seemed to value him a little. However, Qin Wancho was the supreme master of the night. Since he said to continue the birthday banquet, everyone immediately raised their cups and continued to enjoy the delicious wine and delicacies. Yang Dingtian walked directly behind Qin Mengli and continued to play the role of the guard leader. White Cloud City Lord Yi Wuqing's expression changed slightly. He said, "Senior brother Qin, I'm a little drunk. I want to go down and rest." Obviously, Yi Wuqing was still somewhat dissatisfied with Qin Wancho's attitude. "Do as you wish, City Lord Yi," Qin Wancho said indifferently. Immediately, Yi Wuqing picked up Yi Feng from the ground and left. As for Yi Wuqing, he was still sitting in his seat with a dull expression. His face had lost all signs of reaction. Yang Dingtian stood behind Qin Mengli. Although he was expressionless, his heart was already in a mess. What was Qin Wancho's attitude? Was his plan a success or a failure? Only Qin Mengli was very happy. Her beautiful face was filled with pride. She smiled sweetly and tried to please her brother. Her words did not leave Yang Dingtian. She still wanted her brother to help her and her lover be together. Qin Wancho's expression was still filled with impatience and love. It was somewhat perfunctory and somewhat doting as he dealt with Qin Mengli. Just from this, it could be seen that Qin Wancho was really an admirable brother. At this moment, Yang Dingtian also had some understanding of this person. He was a very shrewd person who did not bother to hide his emotions and was filled with ambition. 2 hours later, the birthday banquet ended. Following Qin Mengli into the carriage, Yang Dingtian did not get the response he wanted. Qin Wancho and Qin Huayu did not ask him to stay. Qin Wancho did not even express any surprise as to how Yang Dingtian won against Yi Feng. Although Yang Dingtian was filled with uneasiness and disappointment, he still meticulously protected Qin Mengli as they left the inner city. On the way back to the villa, Qin Mengli finally could not hold it in anymore. She opened the door curtain and said sweetly, Husband, come in. Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned and boarded the carriage. Just as he entered the carriage, Qin Mengli burrowed into his arms and said with infinite joy, "Baby, you really made me proud tonight. You really made me love you to the extreme. I know my brother very well. Although he did not say anything, he already admires you very, very much." Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "As long as he doesn't stop us, I'm already very grateful." "He won't. I already heard the meaning behind his words. He has already tacitly agreed to our relationship. It's just that he can't say it in front of everyone. Didn't you see that when Yi Wuqing wanted to leave the birthday banquet, he did not stop him?" Qin Mengli said sweetly. Chapter 233. Shen Lang, I'm so happy, so happy. Qin Mengli seemed to be unable to suppress the joy in her heart. She kept talking and kissing Yang Dingtian's face. Outside the carriage, all the warriors seemed to be deaf and blind. They turned a deaf ear to everything that was happening in the carriage. They were still vigilant as they hurried on with their journey. After returning to the courtyard, Yang Dingtian didn't have to wait for long before someone entered Qin Mengli's courtyard and asked to see Yang Dingtian. This person was the trusted aide of the Qin clan's lord, Qin Lian. Although Qin Lian's surname was Qin, he wasn't a disciple of the Qin clan. However, he was Qin Wanchou's most trusted person and held the position of Qin City's internal affairs supervisor. Yang Dingtian climbed out of bed and went to see Qin Lian. "Follow me into the inner city. The Lord wants to see you," Qin Lian said directly. "And you can't let anyone else see you." Yang Dingtian was stunned. He then said, "All right, but I need to bid farewell to Madame Qin first." "No need," Qin Lian said. "I'll get someone to tell Madame Qin." After saying that, an extremely powerful energy field gushed out from Qin Lian's body. It was like a huge mountain pressing down on Yang Dingtian, making it hard for him to breathe. This person was a master-level expert. In front of him, Yang Dingtian didn't have the slightest room to resist purely based on energy. Yang Dingtian bowed and said, "Yes." Then, Yang Dingtian followed behind Qin Lian. They left the courtyard and boarded a black carriage. After that, the black horse carriage silently drove into the inner city and left the inner city. 10 minutes later, Yang Dingtian followed Qin Lian into the inner city again. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. A few hours ago, the entire Qin city was brightly lit and bustling with noise. But now the inner city was silent. The huge palace was like a monster entrenched in the darkness. It was silent and filled with a mysterious and dangerous aura. At this moment, Qin Ran was like a vulture in the dark. She lowered her head and led the way without making any sound, but a terrifying aura was emitted from her body. Yang Dingtian followed him forward. At this time, the inner city seemed to have become a ghost town. Even the patrolling warriors could not be seen, and there were barely any lights. It was as if this place was completely different from the brightly lit place a few hours ago. He followed Qin Ran to a quiet artificial lake. The entire artificial lake was only a few dozen acres in size, and it was quiet in the darkness of the early morning. Qin Ran lightly stomped her foot, and the water in the lake dropped rapidly. In just a few minutes, the lake, which was dozens of acres wide and more than 10 meters deep, was completely emptied. Then they saw a building in the center of the lake. It was about 300 square meters and was brightly lit inside. Qin Ran walked down the stairs and entered the building in the middle of the lake. Unexpectedly, the secret room was actually in the middle of a lake. For Qin Wanchou to have Yang Dingtian come here, it was clear that the matter they were about to discuss was extremely secretive and important. Suddenly, the lake water rose again, and the water level gradually rose. In a short 10 minutes, the entire lake returned to its original state. After Yang Dingtian walked into the small building, he saw the cold and quiet lake water outside. Qin Ran walked to the outside and opened the door. She said, "Go in by yourself." Then, he left the small house and entered the lake water. At this time, Yang Dingtian was really nervous to the point of suffocation. Obviously, the most crucial time had come, and at the same time, the most dangerous time had come. Whether or not he could obtain the other half of the Mystic Flame map depended on this moment. If he succeeded, he would obtain the complete mystic flame map. If he failed, he would die. Yang Dingtian pushed the door open and walked into the inner room. There were only two people inside. One was Qin Wanshou, and the other was Qin Huayu. Xinlang, do you know why I called you here? Qin Huayu asked. Yang Dingtian shook his head. Qin Huayu asked. After you defeated Yi Feng, why did you choose to draw this painting for my father? Then, he took out the painting of the Dongli grassland that Yang Dingtian gave him and opened it. Yang Dingtian. Because it happened so suddenly, I didn't prepare anything. Therefore, this is the best gift I can give. Where is the place in your painting? Qin Huayu asked. The Dongli grassland. Yang Dingtian. Where have you been? Qin Huayu asked. Yes, about 4 years ago. Yang Dingtian then organized his words in his mind. He reorganized the story of him entering the Dongli grassland to check if there were any flaws. There shouldn't be any. But before Qin Huayu could ask about the Dongli grassland, Qin Wanshou suddenly asked, Who is your teacher? Saber Monarch Xiying. Yang Dingtian said. It's him? Qin Huayu was slightly shocked. Saber Monarch Xiying was indeed a very mysterious but very famous person. He was even a legendary person in this world. In the primal chaos world, all the experts above the martial ancestor realm came from famous sects, and all the martial profound realm experts came from sects and families. In other words, no matter how talented a wandering martial artist was, they could only cultivate to the great profound martial master realm in their lifetime. No one could do anything above that. However, Saber Monarch Xiying was an exception. He didn't come from any sects or families. He was a pure wandering martial artist. But in the end, he became a martial ancestor realm expert. His wind wave evil blade made the whole world tremble in fear. No wonder, no wonder. Qin Wanshou said. Following that, Qin Wanshou asked again. Then in the end, you truly defeated Yi Feng. His last profound skill was quite powerful. It was completely the energy of a 9-star martial ancestor realm expert. With your cultivation, you definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Yang Dingtian's heart fiercely jumped. Without a doubt, the real fatal problem had arrived. The real highlight of tonight's show had arrived. If Yang Dingtian couldn't reasonably explain this problem, then it would be very difficult for him to walk out alive. If he could reasonably explain this problem, then the matter of obtaining the Mystic Flames map would be very smooth. Yang Dingtian immediately fell into a short silence. What? Is it inconvenient to say? Qin Wanshou asked indifferently. His tone was very light, but his gaze was somewhat dangerous. That's not it. Yang Dingtian said. Qin Wanshou said. Then tell me. Yang Dingtian clenched his teeth and said. Yi Feng's last move wasn't from the profound sky sect leader Zhu Qing. It was completely from the evil ways, the devil encirclement mysterious art. When these words came out, Qin Huayu was slightly startled. His gaze shot towards Yang Dingtian like lightning. Of course, Qin Huayu knew about Yi Feng's devil encirclement mysterious art. He was surprised that Yang Dingtian also knew about it. This secret, there weren't many people who knew about it. Note. Chapter 234. Of course, Qin Huayu knew about Yi Feng's devil encirclement mysterious art, but he was surprised that Yang Dingtian knew about it too. At that time, many people present could see that Yi Feng's last move was not a good move, and it was even related to evil ways. However, there were no more than 4 or 5 people who knew about the devil encirclement mysterious art. He did not expect Xinlang to know about it. Qin Huayu immediately said, There are only a few people who know about the devil encirclement mysterious art. How did you know about it, and even break it? Yang Dingtian said, My master became a master-level powerhouse 17 years ago, as a wandering martial artist, shocking the world. Moreover, he was only 47 years old at that time. Everyone thought that my master would become a master-level powerhouse in at most 10 years. However, they did not expect that not long after, my master would completely disappear from the world's sight. Everyone was puzzled. That's right. Qin Wanshou said. Looking at it, your master is my senior. I also went to pay him a visit, but he had completely disappeared. I have always felt regretful about it. Yang Dingtian said. Actually, my master did not leave the world willingly, but he was already seriously injured. Lord Qin may have heard that my master was an abandoned disciple of the Dugujian men. Although his personality was extreme, and he disdained the disciples of famous sects, he always regarded himself as a member of the Tiando League. He completely hated evil. In these years, when the real Tiando League members encountered evil ways, their attitudes were ambiguous. However, my master was very extreme. Once he encountered an evil way disciple, he would kill them without mercy. Therefore, the number of evil ways members who died under my master's hands was countless. Qin Wancho said, "That's right, I also heard about this." Yang Dingtian said, 47 years ago, my master met a woman of evil ways. She was around 30 years old, but had the cultivation of a martial supreme. My master did not say anything and chased her for thousands of li, because he felt that this woman was extremely talented and would definitely become the scourge of the Tiando League in the future. The woman from the evil Dao begged for mercy in every possible way, but her seduction was to no avail. In the end, she had no choice but to use the evil encirclement mysterious art. Instantly, her cultivation rose from the martial supreme level to the master level. But even so, she died under my master's blade. However, my master was also injured. He almost lost his life. At that time, I was suffering from misfortune and was wandering everywhere. I accidentally dragged him for dozens of li, and took care of him for half a year. At this point, Yang's master's eyes turned red, and his breathing also became a little breathless. At that time, the battle situation was a little dangerous, but that woman didn't cause any harm to Dongfang Minmi, and the method to break the devil encirclement mysterious art that Yang Dingtian mentioned wasn't completely baseless. This method was something that Dongfang Minmi came up with after thinking for a long time. Previously, Dongfang Minmi felt that this method would definitely work, but in reality, it was proven to be wrong. However, purely in theory, it was already enough to convince anyone. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's explanation could be said to be flawless. After hearing Yang Dingtian's explanation, Qin Wancho and Qin Huayu immediately became silent. After a few minutes, Qin Huayu broke the silence and said, "You've been to the Dongli grassland before?" "Yes, this was a matter of a few years ago," Yang Dingtian said. "Why did you go?" "The human race and the half-human race are completely separated. Almost no one would go to the Dongli grassland," Qin Huayu said. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, "I just said that I'm not very interested in martial arts. My strength is to wander the world, unearth the deepest secrets of this world, and finally achieve the goal of saving the world." Qin Wancho's eyes looked over like lightning and said, "You feel that this world will be dangerous?" "Yes," Yang Dingtian said. "I faintly feel that this world will soon face an apocalyptic change." Qin Huayu said coldly, "Are you purposely saying these words to scare people?" "Of course not," Yang Dingtian said. "Why would there be an apocalyptic battle every few hundred years for the past 1,000 years? Why is it that although the Tiando League would obtain victory in every apocalyptic battle, it would always be an incomplete victory? What exactly is the hidden sect? What is its relationship with the Temple of Annihilation? These things are what I'm pursuing my entire life." Qin Wancho looked deeply at Yang Dingtian and said, "You feel that the apocalyptic change is coming again. What is your basis?" Yang Dingtian said, "The tens of millions of Maori barbarians in the frozen continent thousands of miles to the north have all disappeared, evaporating from this world for no reason." Qin Wancho did not continue to pursue this question and asked, "You've been to the Dongli grassland. What's the attitude of the half-human race towards humans there?" Yang Dingtian said, "The half-human race is roughly divided into 4 groups. The first group is extremely hostile towards human civilization and wants nothing more than to exterminate it. Among them, the werewolf race is the leader. The second group admires human civilization and desires to be close to it, but they also harbor resentment and fear. The foxman race is the representative. The third group wishes that there is no such thing as human civilization in this world, and wants to be completely isolated from human civilization. There are many such races and none of them stand out. The last group is the Tiger Man race and the Lion Man race. These races yearn for freedom and are actually more like monsters than humans. There was no doubt that Yang Dingtian had done his homework on these matters. Qin Wanqiu asked, "Then the painting you drew at the banquet, which part of the Dongli grassland was it specifically referring to?" The meat of the show had arrived. The real crux had arrived. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, I can't remember where it is exactly. Maybe it's not a complete place at all. It's just a summary of the scenery of the Dongli grassland that left a deep impression on me. I used the mountains in the north, the water in the west, and the cattle and sheep in the south to create a complete painting. This is a kind of artistic creation." After hearing Yang Dingtian's explanation, Qin Wanqiu took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. The decisive moment was coming. Yang Dingtian felt suffocated. Whether he could obtain the other half of the map of the heaven and earth mystic flame depended on this moment. After Qin Wanqiu opened his eyes, he nodded at Qin Huayu. Qin Huayu took off the ring on his hand and inserted a strand of mystic qi. Suddenly, the entire ring melted, revealing a transparent gem inside. He crushed the gem and took out a small roll of cloth. Glancing at the cloth, Qin Huayu handed it to Yang Dingtian. "Then take a look. Where exactly is this place on the map?" Instantly, Yang Dingtian's breathing stagnated. This was the other half of the map of the heaven and earth mystic flame. He had worked so hard, and even lost half his life. Now the other half of the map had finally appeared in front of him. Whether or not he could become stronger, whether or not he could forge a real soul sword, whether or not he could cultivate a sword soul, whether or not he could take back the position of the Lord of Cloud Sky City, or even whether or not he could defeat Dongfang Bingling in 4 years, all depended on this small map in front of him. "You seem very nervous?" Qin Huayu suddenly asked, staring at Yang Dingtian like a thorn. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian entered a dangerous moment. As long as he aroused Qin Huayu's suspicion, he would definitely die. Now, he was only one step away from obtaining the other half of the map of the mystic flame. But it was also the most crucial step. He had to perform perfectly. Otherwise, not only would all his previous efforts be wasted, but he would also die without a burial ground. Chapter 235. Now he was only one step away from obtaining the other half of the mystic flame map. But it was also the most crucial step. He had to perform perfectly. Otherwise, not only would all his previous efforts be wasted, but he would also die without a burial ground. "Can I not look at it?" Young Emperor Qin. Yang Dingtian suddenly asked. "Oh," Qin Huayu said. "Why do you say that?" Yang Dingtian said, "I can see that this map is very, very important. If I look at it, I can forget about leaving alive. You will definitely kill me to silence me, right?" Qin Huayu didn't answer yes or no. Instead, he directly handed the mystic flame map to Yang Dingtian. "Look," Yang Dingtian revealed a trace of a bitter smile. Then he looked up to the sky and sighed. "Okay, I'll look." Then he slowly unrolled this scroll of canvas. That's right, this was the other half of the Heaven and Earth Mystic Flame map. The material of the canvas was exactly the same as Yang Dingtian's half. Furthermore, the words and patterns on it were exactly the same as Yang Dingtian's half of the map. Finally, Yang Dingtian used all his strength and exhausted all his scheming. Now this half of the Mystic Flame map finally appeared completely in front of him. Yang Dingtian desperately suppressed the excitement in his heart. Instead, he slightly narrowed his eyes and carefully looked at every pattern and every word on the map. Not only was Yang Dingtian looking, but his master Dongfang Minmi was also looking in his mind. After a few times, Yang Dingtian accurately memorized this half of the map in his mind. Because he could only memorize it in his mind, taking away the map in front of Qin Wanqiu and Qin Huayu, and escaping unscathed was completely a fool's dream. Thus, he could only forcibly memorize it in his mind. "Can you see where this map points to?" Qin Huayu asked. Yang Dingtian looked for a while and raised his head. "This doesn't seem to be a complete map." "That's right," Qin Huayu said. This is only half of the map. Can you see where this is just from this half of the map? Sorry, this map is too rough. Yang Dingtian. There are too many similar sceneries, and there are no names on the map at all. Instead, it was the text that was the most important piece of information. However, there was only half of it. These words should be a poem. Without the other half of the map, I think it's too difficult to get accurate information. Qin Huayu said, we only have this half of the map. Let's just look at it from this half of the map. If you don't take any responsibility, and just rely on your feelings and impressions, where do you think the place on the map is? Is it just a feeling? Without any evidence? Yang Dingtian asked. Qin Huayu said, that's right. We don't need any evidence. Yang Dingtian said, it should be the celestial Red Sea in the extreme north of the Dongli grassland. Qin Huayu's eyebrows trembled slightly as he said, Celestial Red Sea? What is that place? It's a Red Sea that's 10,000 meters above sea level. It's about 200 kilometers wide. The water there is red. Not only will people not sink if they jump in, even if they throw a stone down, it will still float on the surface of the sea, Yang Dingtian said. Furthermore, this place is completely a forbidden zone for life. There's almost no trace of life in 200 kilometers away from the celestial Red Sea. The water of this Red Sea is ice cold to the touch, but any living thing that goes in will be instantly cooked and charred. Oh, it's so magical? Qin Huayu said. That's right, Yang Dingtian said. At that time, I was attracted by this place. I walked a few thousand kilometers and went through many hardships to reach this place. Then, I stayed at the seaside for 3 days. It was only 3 days, but it caused irreparable damage to my mystic veins. Anything else? Qin Huayu asked. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and shook his head. Nothing else. I've said everything I need to say about this map. Then, Yang Dingtian handed this half of the mystic flame map back to Qin Huayu. After Qin Huayu took it, he asked with a smile, aren't you curious about what exactly is on this map? What kind of treasure is it? Yang Dingtian smiled, and his face instantly became serious. Young Lord Qin, you can threaten me and kill me, but can you not tease me? Qin Huayu was slightly stunned. Sorry. Yang Dingtian looked at the two and said, should I be on my way? Qin Huayu nodded and said, yes. Do you have any last wishes? I'll definitely help you complete them. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and shook his head. You can't do what I want to do. You can't do it, so forget it. Qin Huayu's eyes twitched, and then he said, don't you love my aunt very much? Don't you have anything to say about her? Is it useful? Yang Dingtian said. Even though you have been hurting her, you are still one of the people who love her the most in this world. After speaking, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, since I'm going to be on my way, can I have a request? Speak. Qin Huayu said. After you kill me, this small building in the water will be my resting place. Yang Dingtian said. All right. Qin Huayu said decisively. Yang Dingtian nodded and walked in front of Qin Huayu. He grabbed Qin Huayu's wrist and placed it on his heart. He said indifferently, do it. At the same time, Yang Dingtian gently bit his teeth and was about to break the holy water pearl in his mouth and let the holy water flow into his stomach. Yang Dingtian had been preparing for this holy water pearl for a long time. He was gambling with his life. In the 5 Elements Hall mystic realm, the demoness Degufengwu's full-powered palm strike on his heart wasn't able to take her life because of the holy water. Now, Yang Dingtian was gambling that Qin Huayu's palm strike wouldn't really kill him because of the holy water. Of course, this kind of gamble was too terrifying and dangerous, but Yang Dingtian had no other choice. After coming to this world, Yang Dingtian was always dancing on the tip of a knife. Qin Huayu looked at Yang Dingtian's face and couldn't help but look away slightly. He then said indifferently, sorry, Brother Shen. After speaking, Qin Huayu was about to spit out an extremely powerful mystic qi. Wait! Suddenly Qin Wancho shouted. Qin Huayu looked at his father in confusion and quickly stopped. Qin Wancho looked at Yang Dingtian. What places have you been to when you roamed the world? Many, Yang Dingtian said. Have you been to all the famous sects in the Tiando League? Qin Wancho asked. I have been to all of them, Yang Dingtian said. What about the evil ways? Qin Wancho asked. I have been to quite a few, Yang Dingtian said. Qin Wancho looked at Yang Dingtian with burning eyes. Then what do you think is the difference between my Qin city and the other famous sects? Yang Dingtian didn't know why Qin Wancho would ask such a question, but he knew that his answer was completely related to his life and death. Thus, he had to give the best answer and speak directly into Qin Wancho's heart. This way, he might not have to risk his life and could directly escape. Chapter 236. Then what do you think is the difference between my Qin city and the other famous sects? Qin Wancho's eyes were burning as he asked again. It's completely different, Yang Dingtian said. Even the Mystic Sky sect and the Yin-Yang school are only sects of the pugilistic world. But Qin city is like a country. The master of the Mystic Sky sect, Zhu Qingzhu, is the current #1 expert in the world, but he is a sect master. And you, Qin Wancho, are more like the emperor of a country. Of course, you might not understand the words country and emperor. These are two words I created. Qin Wancho's eyes trembled. Explain the meaning of country and emperor. Country? It's too complicated to say. But in short, it's a hierarchy in order from top to bottom. It's one person in charge of 100 people, 100 people in charge of 10,000 people, 10,000 people in charge of 1,000,000 people, and 1,000,000 people in charge of 100 million people. And the emperor is that one person, supreme and hereditary. Yang Dingtian said. Qin Wancho's eyes were burning. You can continue. Work hard to weaken the power of all the sects in the world, until the final elimination. Gather all the resources and military power in the hands of the emperor, and redistribute them. Reducing the number of martial artists in the world by 90%. Gather all the armed forces into an army, becoming the emperor's strongest and only tool of violence in the world. Let the majority of the people in the world participate in construction and production, and not in martial arts. Gradually carry out a complete ban on martial arts, and then support art, literature, production technology, and so on. Abolish the current feudal and territorial systems, and gather all the mountains, rivers, and land in the hands of the empire. 100 li is a county, 3 to 500 li is a county, and 1 to 2,000 li is a province. The emperor will send officials of all levels to manage the provinces, counties, and counties. In short, these things are very complicated and can't be explained one by one. At this moment, Qin Wancho's entire body was trembling, because he felt as though every sentence that Yang Dingtian said had drilled into his heart. Every sentence was able to evoke an intense resonance in him. There were many things that he could only faintly sense, but he wasn't able to see it clearly. After Yang Dingtian said it, everything became extremely clear. And Qin Wancho's voice trembled. The Tiando League has already become this world's biggest obstacle. Even if it's still necessary for now, it's still necessary to completely ban this organization. Yang Dingtian's words were like thunder, shaking Qin Wancho's heart. Banning and eliminating the Tiando League was something no one dared to say, but it was Qin Wancho's greatest wish. Because of the existence of the Tiando League, even if his influence surpassed that of the Black Sky sect and the Yin-Yang school, he would always be overshadowed by them, let alone the Yin sect. Then what does Mr. Shin think I should do to destroy the Tiando League, establish an empire, and stand at the top of the world? Qin Wancho asked. Forgive me for being blunt, but if the Battle of Armageddon doesn't happen, all of this will just be the moon in the well, flowers in the water. Yang Dingtian. If you want to eliminate most of the martial arts sects in this world, you must go through an unprecedented Battle of Armageddon to exhaust all the martial artists in this world. Otherwise, even if it's the Black Sky sect and the Yin-Yang school, you won't be able to overcome them. In this world where martial arts are respected, even if Qin City's territory is 10 times larger than the Black Sky sects, we won't be their match. Forgive me for being blunt, Qin Huayu said. If the Battle of Armageddon happens, my Qin City will also be destroyed. We won't have the power to suppress the other sects at all. It'll be good enough if we can protect ourselves. Yang Dingtian. So the next step is the most crucial. As long as this strategy succeeds, after the Battle of Armageddon ends, Qin City's power can completely suppress the combined power of the other Tiando League forces. Qin Wancho's breathing suddenly became heavy. What strategy? Ally with some of the half-human races, support them, and even marry them. Yang Dingtian. As everyone knows, in the past 1,000 years of the Tiando League and the Evil Ways Battle of Armageddon, the half-human race has been absolutely neutral, so the flames of war have never involved them. It's just that they are divided into hundreds of races, and there are endless disputes, so there's no unity at all. So all along, they haven't been a threat to humans. Most importantly, almost all the sects treat the half-human race as a taboo, and there's no way to form an alliance. If Qin City is willing to take this step, it will definitely reap great benefits. Then Yang Dingtian. Lord Qin is a man of great talent, and I admire him very much. But to be honest, your current strategy is very wrong. You're using all your power to conquer the northwest and southwest continents. Other than alerting the Tiando League, what else can it do? It's just a show of strength on the surface. Let me ask you one thing. Even if you conquer the northwest and southwest continents, can you defeat the Yin-Yang School and the Black Heaven sect? Qin Wancho thought for a while and said, No, before my martial arts surpass Zhu Qingzhu's, it's impossible. In terms of reputation and morality, it's even more impossible. Yang Dingtian. Then let me ask you again, if the Battle of Armageddon happens, can the southwest and northwest continents be protected? Qin Wancho shook his head. No, in every Battle of Armageddon, the southwest continents will all fall, and most of the northwest continents will fall. On the other hand, the eastern cloud continent is almost untouched by the flames of war. Then things are very clear. Yang Dingtian. If the Battle of Armageddon is bound to happen, then what's the point of spending all your power on lands that are destined to fall? Using all your power to establish absolute power, after the Battle of Armageddon, is the most important thing. Phew. Qin Wancho desperately exhaled, and said in a trembling voice, Confidant. You're really my confidant. Yang Dingtian smiled. All right, I'm done. I should be on my way, and I'll take care of myself. Then he suddenly pulled out his dagger and stabbed it into his chest. No! Suddenly, Qin Wancho rushed over like lightning and grabbed Yang Dingtian's dagger. Instantly, the sharp dagger cut open his palm, and blood instantly flowed out. God! How could a mere dagger hurt Qin Wancho, who was a grandmaster? However, in order to move Yang Dingtian, he created a bloody scene. Sir, please stay and help me, Qin Wancho said as he bowed. Ah! Instantly, Yang Dingtian was completely stunned. This was completely outside of his plan. To be honest, Yang Dingtian didn't say such a long sentence to escape. In fact, he already had a plan to escape. Saying such a long sentence was completely improvised. His biggest goal was to divert Qin Wancho's attention away from Cloud Heaven City and make him focus on forming an alliance with the half-human race instead of the northwest and southwest continents. And the best ending would be for Yang Dingtian to represent the northwest Qin City and head to the Dongli grassland. On the surface, it was to investigate the half-human race and form an alliance. But in reality, it was to search for the heaven and earth mystic flame. He didn't expect that with such a long sentence, not only would Qin Wancho not kill him, but he would also treat him with respect. Yang Dingtian said, But I already know too much. It's not right to not die. Qin Wancho grabbed Yang Dingtian's hand and said, Compared to Sir's talent, what do these things count as? To be honest, even my son can't understand my ambition. In this entire world, there's no one like Sir who has such a grand vision. In this world where strength is respected, there's no one like Sir within 10,000 miles. I look at Sir like I'm waiting for rain after a long drought. Yang Dingtian continued to be stunned. Qin Wancho continued to say incomparably affectionately, Next, sir, please don't leave me. I ask you to be my good teacher and helpful friend. No matter what you want, as long as you say it, I will do my best to do it. Yang Dingtian was still stunned. Qin Wancho continued, Huayu, come over and pay respects to your teacher. Qin Huayu was also stunned. Qin Wancho said angrily, what are you still standing there for? Come over and pay respects to teacher. Qin Huayu hurried forward and bowed deeply. Qin Huayu pays respects to teacher. Kneel down. Qin Wancho said. Qin Huayu was stunned and was about to kneel down. Absolutely not. Yang Dingtian hurriedly helped Qin Huayu up and said to Qin Wancho, Lord Qin, in order to not let young lord hate me, you absolutely cannot do this. Sigh. Instantly, Qin Wancho sighed and patted the back of Yang Dingtian's hand. Sir, my son is unable to understand the ambition in my heart. If he could understand, he would definitely kneel down. Only you are my true confidant. Then, Qin Wancho said sternly, Qin Huayu, from now on, other than practicing martial arts, you have to spend your energy and time on learning from Sir. Learning strategy, learning politics, learning military strategy. Instantly, Yang Dingtian was truly and completely stunned. He only wanted to escape. How did it become like this? According to Yang Dingtian's plan, he wanted to use the holy water to fake his death and take the opportunity to escape a few days later. He didn't expect that he didn't even need to fake his death. Not only did he not need to die, but he also became Qin City's honorable guest. This result was really surprising. After returning to Qin Mengli's courtyard from the inner city, Yang Dingtian first made out with Qin Mengli. When Qin Mengli fell into a deep sleep, Yang Dingtian, who was exhausted from the battle of wits and courage with Qin Wancho and his son, still couldn't sleep. His mind was unprecedentedly clear. At this moment, there was a clear and complete map in his mind, including the poem on it. The scorching sun is scorching, snow is swirling in the air. Sweat drips like rain, breath turns into ice. Water boils like oil, ice seals 100 miles. When I bloom, heaven and earth melts. All the secrets of the heaven and earth mystic flame are in this poem. That's right, it's in this poem. It all depends on how I solve it. Chapter 237. In these 4 simple and crude lines, the first half of each line was written on Qin Huayu's half of the mystic flame map. The second half of the line was written on Yang Dingtian's half of the mystic flame map. Other than the last word, the meaning of the other half of the line was completely opposite. Therefore, if there was only half of the mystic flame map, it was useless. Only when the 2 parts were put together could the meaning be understood. Putting aside the poem, it was purely based on the map. To be honest, this map was even cruder than the poem. There was a lot of randomness in it. One could only see a few mountains and a few rivers in the map. The rest was mostly grassland. The only useful information was a tall mountain in the middle. The left half was red while the right half was icy blue. The left half was on Qin Huayu's half of the map, and the right half was on Yang Dingtian's half of the map. The most ridiculous thing was that if the 2 halves of the map were not put together, Yang Dingtian would not be able to tell that it was a mountain at all. Previously, he also noticed that there was a sharp blue triangle on his half of the map. He used to think that it was a sharp sword or something like that. Only when the 2 halves of the map were put together did he realize that it was a mountain. It was a very bizarre mountain. Half of the mountain was flames while the other half was ice. However, the more bizarre and unique it was, the better it was. This way, it would be easier to find the target. Moreover, this mountain was so peculiar. Perhaps the heaven and earth mystic flame was in this mountain. Master, you have been to the Dongli grassland. Do you know this mountain that is half flames and half ice? Yang Dingtian asked. Dongfeng Minmi said, I have never seen it. Ah, Yang Dingtian was shocked. This mountain is so bizarre. It should be very famous. Logically speaking, it should be. However, when I entered the Dongli grassland, I did not see it, Dongfeng Minmi said. Yang Dingtian said, could it be that you did not see this mountain because you did not go to many places in the Dongli grassland? Dongfeng Minmi said, that doesn't seem to be the case. Although this map is very rough, I have vaguely been to this place before. You've been there before? Yang Dingtian was pleasantly surprised. Where is this place on the map? Dongfeng Minmi said, I only have a rough impression of it. I came to a rough conclusion based on the positions of several mountains and rivers on the map. If I remember correctly, this area should be the burial ground. Yang Dingtian was pleasantly surprised. The bone burial ground? Where is this place in the Dongli grassland? The center, Dongfang Minmi said. Which half-human clan's territory does this bone burial ground belong to? Yang Dingtian asked. In his heart, he felt that it would be best if it was the territory of the Foxman race, because Jirashina belonged to the Foxman race. It doesn't belong to any race, Dongfang Minmi said. The entire bone burial ground is 500 miles long and does not belong to any race. It is the central battlefield of the Dongli grassland, so it is called the bone burial ground. 500 miles long and wide, this area is not small. Yang Dingtian asked. Master, is there really no mountain in the bone burial ground that is half fire and half ice? There really isn't, Dongfang Minmi said. How could this be? How should he find it? This was a full 500 miles long and wide. Dongfang Minmi smiled and said, Master doesn't know, but it doesn't mean that the half-human clan in the Dongli grassland doesn't know. According to the location on the map, it should be in the middle of the bone burial ground. It is not very difficult to find, so as long as we go there, it should not be difficult to find it. Yes, as long as we reach there, it should not be difficult to find it. Moreover, obtaining the other half of the Mystic Flames map from Qin Huayu could be considered as an impossible mission, but Yang Dingtian did it. Now, with the complete Mystic Flames map in his hands, Yang Dingtian did not believe that he could not find the Mystic Flame. The next most important thing was how to escape from Qin City and leave Qin City without arousing the suspicion of Qin Wanchou and the others. Then he would head to the Dongli grassland in the next few days. Yang Dingtian fully felt Qin Wanchou's determination and enthusiasm. On the next day, Qin Wanchou gathered all the important figures in Qin City. These people were either holding important positions in Qin City, or were the various feudal lords in Qin City's territory. There was a total of close to 1,000 people gathered in the main hall to introduce Yang Dingtian to them. Furthermore, Qin Wanchou announced that from today onwards, Shen Lang would be the military advisor of Qin City. This caused everyone to be astonished. Qin Mengli was completely surprised and delighted. Not only that, Qin Wanchou had spent most of his time talking to Yang Dingtian. Qin Mengli was worried, so she forced herself to join in. When Qin Mengli saw that her elder brother and her lover were talking about completely different things, and even concepts that didn't exist in this world, Qin Mengli's expression became even more intoxicated. Her admiration for Yang Dingtian grew even more. However, because of Qin Mengli's participation, mahjong, go, and Chinese chess started to become popular in Qin City. After Qin Wanchou played, he heard that these were all designed and created by Yang Dingtian. Instantly, he admired Yang Dingtian even more. However, what surprised Yang Dingtian was that Qin Wanchou could be said to be the most talented and bold person that Yang Dingtian had ever met in this world. However, regardless of whether it was Go or Chinese chess, his standards were very ordinary. Even after he became familiar with the game, not only was he not a match for Qin Mengli, but he was also not a match for Yang Dingtian. Regardless of whether it was Chinese chess or Go, he basically lost 9 out of 10 games. On the other hand, Qin Huayu's Go skills were shockingly high and completely exceeded expectations. After familiarizing himself with the game, Qin Huayu no longer had any opponents. Whether it was Yang Dingtian or Qin Mengli, they were all defeated in a second. In short, during this period of time, Yang Dingtian's character, Shen Lang, became the most popular person in Qin City and received countless envious gazes. It was still all right at the beginning, but later on, the direct descendants of Qin City came to provoke him multiple times. Yang Dingtian did not care, but Qin Mengli did not want Yang Dingtian to be wronged, so she went to reprimand them multiple times. In the end, these Qin City descendants complained to Qin Wanchou. In the end, Qin Wanchou flew into a rage and directly punished all the direct descendants who provoked Yang Dingtian. He even chased the 2 leaders out of Qin City. Since then, no one in Qin City dared to offend Yang Dingtian openly. However, these direct descendants instigated Qin Jiaojiao to provoke Qin Jiaojiao multiple times. Qin Jiaojiao, this woman, was mean and pampered, rude and unreasonable. After being instigated, she came to find trouble many times. Yang Dingtian avoided her many times, and in the end, she directly went to Qin Mengli's courtyard to provoke her. In the end, Qin Wanqiu gave her a tight slap to the face, sending Qin Jiaojiao flying over 10 meters away. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and half of her face instantly swelled up. Qin Jiaojiao was so frightened that she didn't even dare to cry out loud. At that time, Yang Dingtian was really overwhelmed by the favor. From then on, no one dared to offend Yang Dingtian anymore, whether it was in the open or in the dark. Chapter 238. From then on, no one dared to offend Yang Dingtian, no matter if it was in the open or in the dark. Normally, these days should be very majestic and free, enjoying great power without having to fulfill any obligations. However, Yang Dingtian felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. Most importantly, time passed day by day. The day of the martial arts contest for the position of the Cloud Sky City Lord was getting closer and closer. He had yet to obtain the heaven and earth mystic flame. Yang Dingtian was indeed burning with anxiety. Therefore, Yang Dingtian had mentioned countless times that he wanted to leave Qin City and continue to wander outside. However, he was rejected by Qin Wanqiu every time. Moreover, after every rejection, Qin Wanqiu would severely punish those who had offended Yang Dingtian. Therefore, every time Yang Dingtian said goodbye, it would bring a bloody punishment. Therefore, for a while, Yang Dingtian was actually trapped in Qin City, unable to leave. Moreover, unless it was absolutely necessary, Yang Dingtian would not leave without saying goodbye and secretly leave. In fact, he could not leave at all. Because of the jealousy of many people in Qin City, in order to protect Yang Dingtian's safety, Qin Wanqiu arranged bodyguards for him. Both of them were martial venerables. On this day, Yang Dingtian came to see Qin Wanqiu again to express his intention to leave. Qin Wanqiu said loudly, "Military advisor, are you so uncomfortable in my Qin City? What have I done that you can't bear to stay here?" Previously, Yang Dingtian had always said that the Lord treated him very well, but his nature and mission was to wander. However, he did not succeed. Now, when Qin Wanqiu asked this question again, Yang Dingtian sighed and said, "I have achieved nothing in Qin City. The better the Lord treats me, the more uncomfortable I feel. After a few days, each day feels like a year." Qin Wanqiu said, "You want to do something? That's easy. Whether you want to train soldiers, do internal affairs, or manage a piece of land, you can do all of that. No matter which position you want, I will let you do it." Yang Dingtian, "I can't do any of those things. The only thing I'm good at is wandering the world." His Majesty also agreed with my strategy to place our focus on the half-human race. We will support our allies and hide our strength. We will rise after the world-destroying war. Thus, I feel that the most suitable thing for me to do now is to head to the half-human race's territory and analyze the hundreds of half-human races. I will determine which half-human races should be destroyed, which half-human races should be supported, and which half-human races should be intermarried. This is no small matter, and only I am suitable to do it. Yang Dingtian finally said this. Previously, he didn't say it because he was afraid of arousing Qin Wanqiu's suspicion. But now, he was at his wit's end, and could only use this method to escape. Moreover, he was just about to go to the Dongli grassland to look for the heaven and earth mystic flame. During this period of time, Yang Dingtian and his master had analyzed the complete heaven and earth level mystic flame in their minds. They had also analyzed the poem countless times, and had even roughly determined the approximate location of the mystic flame. The geographical location had basically been reduced to a few hundred miles. What they needed now was to enter the few hundred miles and find the heaven and earth mystic flame, no matter what method they used. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Qin Wanqiu didn't reject him directly like before. Instead, he sank into deep thought. After a few minutes, Qin Wanchou said, Mr. Shen, don't be anxious. This is no small matter. Please allow me to think for a few days. I will give you a reply within 5 days. Yes, His Majesty. Yang Dingtian bowed respectfully. Then, Yang Dingtian returned to Qin Mengli's courtyard. For the next few days he didn't go out. Most of the time, he was cultivating. A small part of the time, he was intimate with Qin Mengli. When there was no one around, he communicated with his master in his mind. Relying on his master's memories of the Dongli grassland, he wanted to completely confirm the exact location of the mystic flame on the map. However, Dongfang Minmi had gone to the Dongli grassland more than 10 years ago. Moreover, at that time, Dongfang Minmi had traveled through the 10,000 miles of Dongli grassland. Therefore, his memory of a specific place was very limited. Therefore, after roughly confirming the mystic flame's range of a few hundred miles, he couldn't be any more precise. The only way was for Yang Dingtian to personally go to the burial ground and search for it one by one. However, Yang Dingtian was still relatively lucky. The burial ground could be considered as a no-man's land in the Dongli grassland. Because it was a neutral battlefield, there weren't any races living there. Otherwise, if it was the territory of the Wolf clan, Tiger clan, or other races, Yang Dingtian would have been torn into pieces the moment he entered. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's desire to head to the Dongli grassland became even more urgent. Therefore, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but become more anxious as he waited for Qin Wanchou's reply. On the 2nd day, the 3rd day, the 4th day, and even on the 5th day, there was still no reply from Qin Wanchou. It wasn't until the 5th night that Qin Wanchou finally sent someone over. Mr. Chun, you want to go to the Dongli grassland? Seeing Yang Dingtian, Qin Wanchou's first sentence was to ask. Yes, Lord. Yang Dingtian replied. Mr. Chen, do you know why I've been stopping you from leaving Qin City? Qin Wanchou asked. I don't know, Yang Dingtian replied. Because I'm not willing to give up on a talent like you. Qin Wanchou said. There are many talents in this world, and there's no lack of geniuses. However, almost everyone puts their talent into cultivating martial skills. Only you are an exception. I can see that your talent is even higher than my son, Qin Huaiyu, and is not inferior to mine. Moreover, your teacher is Saber Monarch Xiying. According to your current age, your normal cultivation should be a martial ancestor realm expert, or even a martial supreme realm expert. However, you are merely a 1-star martial mystic realm expert. It can be seen that you put your experience and talent in other areas, and these areas are exactly what I need. If I miss you, perhaps I won't be able to find a second person like you. Yang Dingtian replied, Lord, first of all, I'm definitely not as outstanding as you say. Secondly, I've already told you everything I know. There's nothing in my mind that's worthy of your attention. Of course not. Qin Wanchou said. Mr. Chun, do you know why I insist on having you stay by my side? I don't. Yang Dingtian replied. Mr. Chun, you're an expert in grand strategies and great foresight. However, you're somewhat lacking in specific matters. However, this is true wisdom. Qin Wanchou said. I keep you by my side because every time I'm faced with an important decision, I might fall into a perplexed state, not knowing which choice is the right one. As long as I make the wrong choice, perhaps Qin City's foundation will be completely destroyed. At this time, I need you by my side, to use your great wisdom, to help me make the most important choice. Therefore, perhaps I might only ask you once every 5 to 10 years, but every time it's incomparably important, and it might even change Qin City's fate. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, Lord, I didn't expect you to value me so much. But I can only say that I'm a person who absolutely can't stay idle. I need to constantly move around and do things to maintain my vision and brain. Once I stop to enjoy a life of wealth and ease, I'll be crippled. I understand. Qin Wanchou nodded and said, You can go to the Dongli grassland if you want, but you have to promise me one thing. Please say it. Yang Dingtian said. Marry Ali and become Qin City's son-in-law. Qin Wanchou said. Ah. Yang Dingtian suddenly exclaimed in shock. Why? You're not willing? Do you dislike Ali? Qin Wanchou said. Of course not, Yang Dingtian said. This is something I've always dreamed of, but now isn't the time to break off relations with White Cloud City. Qin Wancho said coldly, What's so great about White Cloud City? It's just a destitute city that relies on the might of others. Previously, I wanted to dominate the northwest and southwest continents. In order to not make myself look bad, I had to raise White Cloud City's status to prevent the Tiando League from thinking that Northwest Qin City is the only big city. Otherwise, what is Northwest Qin City? Their strength is much weaker than Cloud Sky cities. Now that I want to focus on the outside, I don't care about breaking off relations with White Cloud City. However, if we offend Black Heaven Sect because of this, the losses outweigh the gains, Yang Dingtian said. In Zhu Qingzhu's eyes, White Cloud City is nothing. Qin Wancho said, Dongfang Minmi isn't here anymore. Now Zhu Qingzhu's attention is all on Yinyang School. Excluding the hidden sects, there are only 2.5 grandmasters. Before Yinyang School is annexed, Zhu Qingzhu and I will work together instead of against each other. Then, without waiting for Yang Dingtian to speak, Qin Wancho said, All right, there's no need to say anymore. If you want to leave Qin City and go to Dongli's grasslands, you must marry Ali. Otherwise, you will stay here obediently and don't even think about leaving. At this moment, Qin Wancho completely displayed his domineering side. With a wave of his hand, no one could stop him. Yang Dingtian bowed deeply and said, Since my lord doesn't care about White Cloud City's attitude, why should I reject such a wonderful thing? Although more than half a month had passed since Qin Wancho's 50th birthday, the guests didn't all leave. This was because Qin City's 4th Missy and Yi Feng's wedding was in a month's time. Since it was so close, some people were too lazy to go back and stayed in Qin City to wait for the wedding to be held in a month's time. However, it was obvious that Yi Feng and Qin City's 4th Missy's wedding wouldn't be as lively as Qin Wancho's 50th birthday banquet. The guests who came wouldn't be as important. That night, Yi Feng and Yang Dingtian fought and suffered serious injuries. However, Yang Dingtian was merciful in the end, so Yi Feng's life wasn't in danger. However, in order to kill Yang Dingtian, he used the devil encirclement mystic art. His mystic veins, which were weak controlling the strong, were severely injured. Therefore, his greatest achievement in this lifetime might not be breaking through to the martial supreme level. However, for some reason, Qin Wancho didn't break the engagement. Instead, he still carried out the engagement and betrothed his 4th daughter to Yi Feng. The next morning, Qin Wancho gathered all the important guests and important members of Qin City and publicly announced that Qin Mengli and Yi Wuzheng were officially divorced. This news shocked everyone so much that their expressions changed drastically. Even Qin Huaiyu was filled with shock. Chapter 239. This news shocked everyone so much that their expressions changed drastically. Even Qin Huaiyu was shocked. Immediately after, Qin Wancho announced that Qin Mengli would be officially betrothed to Qin City's military advisor, Shen Lang, and the wedding would be held 3 days later. This news shocked everyone to the point that they were speechless. What was going on? Could it be that Qin City and White Cloud City had completely broken off their relationship just like that? One should know that White Cloud City Governor Yi Wuqing and Qin Mengli's current husband, Yi Wuzheng, were in the main hall at this moment. After hearing Qin Wancho's words, White Cloud City Governor Yi Wuqing's expression changed drastically, revealing an expression of disbelief. Yi Wuzheng's face turned pale instantly. After the endless shock, his face turned ashen quickly. However, what Yang Dingtian did not expect was that White Cloud City Governor Yi Wuqing walked out of the crowd after a short moment of shock and said loudly, As everyone knows, my brother Yi Wuzheng and Miss Qin Mengli have long lost their feelings for each other. However, for the friendship between White Cloud City and Qin City, they have no choice but to be together. However, these two people have underestimated the friendship between Qin City and White Cloud City. Lord Qin and I have been best friends for decades. Why would we need a marriage alliance to maintain our friendship? Moreover, I also feel that military advisor Shen Lang and Miss Qin Mengli are truly in love with each other. Therefore, I personally discussed with Brother Qin last night to let Yi Wuzheng and Qin Mingli get divorced, so that military advisor Xin Lang and Miss Qin can have a beautiful marriage. At that time, Brother Wancho was still determined to disagree. I was the one who got angry, and he agreed to this beautiful matter. Then, Yi Wuqing looked at Yang Dingtian and said, "Military advisor Xin Lang, you've married a beauty, but please don't forget that I'm the real matchmaker." At this moment, Yang Dingtian was extremely impressed by the White Cloud City governor's acting skills. Obviously, Qin Wancho did not discuss this with him at all before announcing this decision. That was why he was so shocked at the first moment. However, he immediately used the smartest way to redeem himself. He took the initiative to express that this matter was his own decision. If Yang Dingtian did not know the truth, he would really be deceived by his acting skills. At least Yi Wuzheng was deceived. At this moment, he looked at his elder brother with confusion and hatred. However, Yi Wuqing's performance also made him understand that White Cloud City was bluffing. Just like what Qin Wancho had said, Yi Wuqing was even more afraid of breaking off relations with Qin City. Although Yi Wuqing had given his sister to Zhu Qingzhu as a concubine, and although Yi Feng kept calling Zhu Qingzhu his uncle, White Cloud City was just a fox exploiting the tiger's might. Zhu Qingzhu wouldn't put Yi Wuqing in his eyes at all. Therefore, on the night of the birthday banquet, when Qin Mingli brought Yang Dingtian into the main hall intimately, Yi Wuqing was so furious. At this moment, Qin Wancho's actions were a huge humiliation to Yi Wuqing, but he accepted it with a smile. Not only did he not fall out with Qin Wancho in public, he even helped Qin Wancho to settle this matter. A trace of disdain and sarcasm flashed across Qin Wancho's eyes as he looked at Yi Wuqing. Then he said to Xin Lang, "Advisor, why don't you go and thank City Lord Yi?" Yang Dingtian was also happy to help with the act. He walked to Yi Wuqing and bowed. "Yang Dingtian thanks City Lord Yi for your help." You're welcome, you're welcome," Yi Wuqing said. "Even if Wuzheng and Miss Mingli are divorced, Brother Wancho and I are still in-laws, so you and I are also family. Yi Feng is insensible and has offended you before, but from now on, you're his elder. If he doesn't improve, he still needs you to discipline him. Brother Wancho, don't you think so?" When Yi Wuqing said this, he looked at Qin Wancho. Obviously, Qin Wancho had completely caught him off guard and frightened him. He was not sure if Qin Wancho's actions were just to help Xin Lang and Qin Mingli, or if he wanted to completely break off with White Cloud City. So he spoke to test him. If it was a complete break, then the engagement between 4th Miss Qin and Yi Feng would be completely invalid. After hearing Yi Wuqing's test, Qin Wancho said, "Yes, Advisor Xin is knowledgeable and will be Yi Feng's uncle in the future. Yi Feng can ask for more advice." After hearing Qin Wancho's affirmative answer, Yi Wuqing finally felt relieved. At this moment, everyone present recovered from the shock and went forward to congratulate Yang Dingtian. 3 days later, Qin City was brightly lit again. Similarly, a large-scale banquet was held in the central main hall. However, the main characters of this banquet were Yang Dingtian and Qin Mingli. The banquet might not be as grand as Qin Wancho's birthday banquet, and there weren't as many important figures present, especially when Third Lady Gongsun and Dongfeng Bingling weren't present. After Qin Wancho's birthday banquet, they had left Qin City. Dugu Fengwu's departure had really surprised Yang Dingtian. Could this demonic woman really not recognize Yang Dingtian? This was impossible. Previously, when they were on the ship heading towards the northwest continent, Yang Dingtian had also disguised himself. But Dugu Fengwu was still able to recognize him immediately. If she recognized Yang Dingtian, why didn't she do anything? Yang Dingtian was puzzled, but it was obviously not the time to be calculative about this matter. Chapter 240. Perhaps there was a certain error in her understanding of Qin Huayu? Yang Dingtian's thoughts turned, but his actions did not follow. He glanced at Ning Rower's beautiful face and revealed a stunned expression. Then, his gaze quickly landed on little Ningning's adorable face. In fact, Yang Dingtian did not know that when Ning Rower was toasting, Qin Mingli's eyes had been fixed on Yang Dingtian. Ning Roer was simply too beautiful. She was so beautiful that Qin Mingli was jealous. Therefore, she was worried that her lover would reveal a dazed expression when he saw Ning Roer. Yang Dingtian's reaction made her extremely happy. When he saw the beautiful Ning Roer, his stunned expression showed that he was not hypocritical at all. However, his gaze quickly landed on little Ningning, showing that he was not lustful at all. Instead, a cute and beautiful little girl was more attractive to him. Of course, these were all Qin Mingli's subconscious reactions. Tonight, her beautiful face was filled with a blissful radiance. However, she would not do this intentionally. Just like that, Qin Mingli followed Yang Dingtian, like a little bird, and toasted table after table. Her beautiful face seemed to have become a few years younger in the blissful radiance. She really looked like a newlywed in her 20s. "Husband, I really feel like I'm in a dream." Qin Mingli leaned on Yang Dingtian's body and said coquettishly. The wedding banquet had ended at around 11 p.m. However, they did not return to the villa. Instead, they stayed in the inner city for the night. Qin Wanshou had chosen the most magnificent house to be their new house. After being intimate, Qin Mingli was unwilling to sleep. Instead, she continued to speak intimately with Yang Dingtian. Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Yang Dingtian did not say anything. Instead, he gently patted her back. "Husband, when are you planning to leave?" Qin Mingli asked again. Yang Dingtian originally wanted to say that he was leaving tomorrow. However, when he saw Qin Mingli's infatuated eyes, his heart softened and he said, "I'll leave after accompanying you for 3 days." To Xunlang, this departure could be said to be an eternal farewell to Qin Mingli. To her, this was indeed an extremely cruel thing to do. Then will you come back in the future?" Qin Mingli suddenly asked. Yang Dingtian was slightly taken aback. He did not know why Qin Mingli would say such a thing. Qin Mingli placed her face on Yang Dingtian's chest and said gently, "Langjun, if a woman truly loves a man deeply, she will be able to hear the things in the depths of her heart." The meaning behind Qin Mingli's words was already very complicated. However, Yang Dingtian believed her words very much. When a woman wholeheartedly devoted herself to a man, no matter how well the man concealed it, the woman would be able to sense some flaws. Of course, it might not be appropriate to call it a flaw. It should be called a mistake. Of course, Qin Mingli's words were not because she suspected Yang Dingtian's identity. It was because she felt that Yang Dingtian was in a hurry to leave Qin City, and she had a feeling that he would never come back. Of course, she might have sensed even more. Instantly, Yang Dingtian looked into Qin Mingli's eyes and said seriously, "I will come back. I promise." Qin Mingli kissed his chest and said, "Langjun, I don't care why you did it, or what you are going to do. However, I know very well that your heart has always been filled with love and guilt for me. Perhaps you are unable to sense it yourself. However, these few days, I have felt it more and more clearly. Just this, I am already satisfied." Yang Dingtian was stunned and speechless. "I don't care who you are, and I don't care whether you treated me sincerely or not. I only know that you have given me endless happiness. I only know that loving someone is as blissful as being loved, or even more blissful," Qin Mingli continued. Yang Dingtian continued to remain silent, but he hugged Qin Mingli even tighter. Love was really the biggest enemy of disguise. Previously, Yang Dingtian had always thought that he had performed very well, and Qin Mingli would not have any doubts about him. In fact, she did not express any doubts at all. Instead, she became more and more attached to him, and more infatuated with him. However, who knew that she just did not say anything? Immediately after, Yang Dingtian felt that his chest was already warm and moist. These were Qin Mingli's tears. Yang Dingtian cupped her face and looked at her beautiful face. He said seriously, "Ollie, I will come back to see you. Do you understand?" Although it was the same words, they contained a heavy promise. Qin Mingli lifted her face and smiled at Yang Dingtian. She said, "Really? Really?" Yang Dingtian said, "Everyone has to be responsible for the things that they do. They also have to be responsible for their own hearts. Therefore, I will definitely come back." Qin Mingli wiped away her tears and smiled. "Langjun, no matter what happens, I only know that I am Xin Lang's wife. I will wait for you to come back." Yang Dingtian hugged her and kissed her on her eyes. 3 days later, under Qin Wanchou's reluctant farewell and Qin Mengli's infatuated gaze, Yang Dingtian left Qin City and headed to the Dongli grassland that was thousands of miles away. He was not the only one on this trip. There were also 3 guards sent by Qin Wanchou. All of them were martial honorables. Qin Wanchou had said that the 3 of them only had one mission, and that was to protect his safety. They would not interfere with what he was doing, and would guarantee that they would obey any of his orders. Other than the 3 of them, there was another person who followed Yang Dingtian. She was the little girl from the Foxman race, Jirashina, whom he had saved. Although the Dongli grassland had the word east in it, it was located in the northwestern part of the northwest mainland. This was a mouthful, but it was the truth. The northwest mainland was already considered to be in the west, but the Dongli grassland was even further west. Compared to Earth, the chaotic mainland was ridiculously huge. At the western end of the northwest mainland was a vast ocean that was thousands of miles away. Further west of the ocean was a desolate and uninhabited land that was close to 10,000 miles wide. There were no signs of life at all. This was because this place was either a desert, or scorched earth, or burning rocks, or lava that stretched for thousands of miles. In short, this land was a forbidden zone for life, which was why it was called the Taboo Mainland. Further west of the Taboo Mainland was the extremely mysterious Abyssal Ocean that made people tremble in fear. Evil ways of the Abyssal Ocean's allied army had come out of the Abyssal Ocean several times to launch a world-ending battle. As for the western side of the Abyssal Ocean, it was the legendary edge of the world. However, everyone had only heard of this place in legends. No one had ever been there before. Even with the powerful Dongfang Minmi, he had only traveled 3,000 miles into the Taboo Mainland. He had not even been to the Abyssal Ocean. The Dongli grassland was directly north of the Taboo Mainland. There was a few thousand miles of the Death Ocean between them. No ship in the world could pass through the Death Ocean. All the ships that tried to cross the ocean were devoured. Under this ocean, it was as if there was a huge black hole. Not only was the north of the Taboo Mainland, but the south was also the boundless Death Ocean. Therefore, it was impossible to go around the Taboo Mainland to reach the Abyssal Ocean. To reach the Abyssal Ocean, one had to pass through the Taboo Mainland. However, as a forbidden zone for life, no one could pass through the Taboo Mainland. Therefore, even though everyone in the Tiando League knew that the Abyssal Ocean was the headquarters of the evil ways and the Temple of Annihilation, no one could reach it. No one could truly destroy it. Yang Dingtian led the group and traveled 3,000 miles to the northwest continent's northwest border. They had to enter the ocean from here and travel 7,000 miles in the northwest direction to reach the Dongli mainland. That's right, it was the Dongli mainland and not the Dongli grassland. In order to reach the Dongli grassland, they had to cross more than 4,000 miles of desert. However, after leaving the northwest continent, they had left the land of human civilization. In the Primal Chaos mainland, there were a few pieces of land that belonged to human civilization. The northwest continent, the southwest continent, the southern Myriad Islands, the northern land, the eastern Cloud continent, and the northeastern Shun continent. Among them, the eastern Cloud continent and the northeastern Shun continent were regarded as the essence of human civilization. This was because the Yin-Yang school and the Black Heaven sect were on these 2 pieces of land. Not only that, among the 3 sects, 9 clans and 27 sects, 5 of them were on these 2 pieces of land. Therefore, when Shiman Wuya was still around, even though Cloud Sky City and Qin City were fighting for the leadership of the Northwest continent, in the eyes of the people of the Eastern Cloud continent and the Northeastern Shun continent, the Northwest continent was considered a barren land. At the seaside, there was a secret fleet waiting for Yang Dingtian. There were a total of 4 large ships in the fleet. Other than a few hundred sailors, there were also 400 to 500 fully armed warriors. The leader of the fleet was a member of the Qin clan called Qin Duansong. Under the orders of the Lord, I'm here to send the military advisor to the Dongli grassland. After boarding the first ship, Qin Duansong greeted him respectfully. With so many of us going, won't it cause the half-human clan to misunderstand and be on guard? Yang Dingtian asked. Qin Duansong said, we're only following orders to send you to the Dongli continent. Then we'll cruise on the sea. Every 10 days, a ship will return to the northwest continent to resupply. That's good, Yang Dingtian said. I'll have to trouble leader Qin along the way. The Lord said that we have to obey any of your orders on the ship. Qin Duansong said. Mr. Shen must be tired from the journey. The ship has already prepared the best cabin for you. Please go and rest, we'll set off immediately. Yang Dingtian could tell that although this Qin Duansong was very polite and respectful to Yang Dingtian, there was a kind of alienation in his tone, because he was also a member of the Qin clan. In Qin City, Yang Dingtian had offended a large number of Qin clan members. Therefore, although this Qin Duansong did not dare to offend Yang Dingtian, because of Qin Wancho's orders, he was also unwilling to get close to him. Of course, Qin Duansong's attitude was exactly what Yang Dingtian wanted. For the sake of caution, Yang Dingtian didn't take the initiative to mention the burial ground. Instead, he led Ji to talk about the burial ground. Then, Yang Dingtian pretended to be curious and placed the focus of the conversation on the burial ground. Regarding the burial ground, Ji obviously knew a lot. At least, she knew a lot more than his master Dongfang Minmi. This included the history of this region, as well as the situation of the half-human race war in the past few hundred years. Ji explained everything clearly. However, it was a pity that Yang Dingtian didn't get any crucial information. Ji didn't even mention the mountain that was half fire and half ice. It wasn't that she didn't mention it on purpose, but that she really didn't know. Yang Dingtian suddenly felt strange. This mountain that was half fire and half ice was so strange. Why didn't his master say that he hadn't seen it before? Even Ji the girl from the Foxman race, hadn't seen it before? Could it be that this strange mountain really didn't exist? Unable to find out more from Ji in the next few days, Yang Dingtian simply let go of his state of mind. He stopped learning the half-human race's language and stopped probing. Instead, he pulled the girl who was wearing a diving suit to play cards and fight the landlord. In this way, time flew by quickly. Very quickly, half a month's time had passed. In this half a month, basically nothing happened. However, there was one thing that was slightly strange. That was, when Yang Dingtian was sleeping, there were always some strange dreams that disturbed him. However, after waking up, he didn't have any clear memories at all. He only felt that it was probably related to the mysterious fire. Moreover, there were similar dreams basically every night. Later on, Yang Dingtian thought that it was probably because Yang Dingtian placed too much importance on this journey to find the mysterious fire. So he would have dreams about the mysterious fire at night. Ever since Yang Dingtian boarded the ship, Qin Duansong never appeared again. Now he finally appeared in front of Yang Dingtian again. Mr. Shen, we will arrive at the Dongli continent in about half a day's time. Please get ready to disembark. Qin Duansong said. Although the southern end of the Dongli continent is thousands of miles of desert, and the half-human race won't appear, just in case, our ship still won't go near the Dongli continent. The ship will stop at about a few dozen miles away. At that time, you will need to go into the sea and swim to the land. Yang Dingtian said. Okay, no problem. Thank you for your understanding, Mr. Shen. Qin Duansong said. Our fleet will cruise around, and we will use messenger birds to communicate with each other. If you encounter any danger, our army will immediately land. Thank you, Yang Dingtian said. After more than 4 hours, the sky turned dark. At this time, they were about 50 miles away from the Dongli continent. Yang Dingtian, Jiara, and the 3 martial revered guards were about to disembark and swim to the Dongli continent under the cover of night. Although it was 50 miles, it was not a problem for Yang Dingtian, and it was even less of a problem for the 3 martial revered experts. However, Jier was still young and her cultivation was weak, so she needed Yang Dingtian to carry her and swim to the shore. After entering the sea, Yang Dingtian immediately felt that the sea water was very hot. That's right, the sea water here was actually very hot. Whether it was Earth or the primal chaos continent, no matter how hot the weather was, the sea water would not be hot. The surface area of the sea was too big. However, the sea water here was actually very hot. Yang Dingtian estimated that it was about 40 to 50 degrees. No wonder he didn't know when it started. But he couldn't see any creatures on the sea surface. Moreover, as they got closer and closer to the Dongli continent, the temperature of the sea water became higher and higher. In the end, it actually reached about 70 to 80 degrees. But no matter what, after more than an hour, Yang Dingtian once again landed on the Dongli continent on a beach, without any signs of human habitation, or even any traces of living creatures. This was the Dongli continent, a forbidden area for humans. At a glance, it was all a boundless red desert. Even at night, the desert was still glowing red. Moreover, as expected, the sand here was boiling hot. Chapter 242. Even at night, the desert was glowing red, and as expected, the sand here was scalding hot. There were still a few thousand miles of desert like this. Therefore, these few thousand miles of desert could be considered as a natural line of defense between the half-human race and the human race. Yang Dingtian continued to carry Ji on his back as he stepped on the scalding desert with the three martial honorables, and continued to walk towards the north. Of course, Yang Dingtian had learned the secret flying technique, so he could fly. However, that would consume too much profound qi, so Yang Dingtian still chose to walk on his feet. Stepping on the scalding desert, the five of them silently walked forward. The three martial supreme class guards didn't speak, while Yang Dingtian and Jir couldn't speak either. Even though this was an uninhabited region, this continent was still the half-human race's territory. If they were to make any noise and attract the attention of the half-human race, it would bring about huge trouble, and might even endanger their lives. In the first 12 hours, the few of them had walked 1,000 miles. When the sky had just brightened, the few of them began to absorb profound qi. Then, they dug a deep cave and hid in it to rest. They hid during the day, and came out at night in order to avoid the half-human race. This was because the half-human race's army would still patrol this desert. Basically, most of the half-human race had a strong hatred towards humans. If they were discovered, it would be hard to avoid a fierce battle. The few of them had been resting in the cave, drinking and eating. When the sky turned dark, they continued on their journey. On the second night, they had traveled another 1,000 miles. The first night, they had not encountered any traces of the half-human race, but on the second night, they had encountered them 3 times. Of course, it could not be considered as encountering them. In reality, they were separated by a few miles. However, the 3 martial honorables had powerful cultivations and could smell their auras from a few miles away. Then, taking advantage of the fact that the half-human race had not discovered them, the few of them quickly left in the opposite direction. Just like that, they had not encountered any danger for the entire night, and they had not encountered the half-human race. On the third day, the few of them dug another deep cave and entered it to cultivate and rest. At night, they crawled out of the hole and continued to walk towards the depths of the Dongli continent. Moreover, compared to the previous 2 nights, they were even more careful because the closer they got to the Dongli grassland, the more frequent the half-human race's patrols were. It was very easy to encounter them. Along the way, the 5 of them didn't talk at all. They didn't even make a sound when they walked. This was a soft desert, so it was easy to leave footprints. However, Yang Dingtian discovered that none of the 3 martial honorable level guards left any footprints. Their feet bounced off the moment they touched the sand. Yang Dingtian's cultivation was not at this level, but he also did not leave any footprints on the desert, not to mention that he was carrying Ashina on his back. Therefore, the 3 martial honorable level guards did not say a single word to Yang Dingtian along the way, nor did they make any eye contact. At this moment, they could not help but sigh in admiration. Yang Dingtian knew nothing about the three martial honorable level experts. He only knew that they were Qin Wancho's Iron Guards, and their names were Qin San, Qin Lu and Qin Shi. Among them, Qin Lu and Qin Shi were roughly 2-star martial honorable level experts. Qin San's cultivation was the highest, but it was unknown what his exact cultivation was. Just like this, the 5 of them silently walked in the night. After 3 hours, they continued to walk for nearly 200 miles. In just 200 miles, they encountered 4 half-human races patrols. The closest patrol was less than a kilometer away, but in the end, they were still scared but not in danger. After entering the latter half of the night, the density of the half-human race's patrols had finally thinned out. Yang Dingtian's group could finally relax a little. The Foxman race's little girl Ji, or Ashina, was a little girl who liked to talk. During this period of time, she had not been tight-lipped. It had been hard on her. While walking, Ji, suddenly moved her mouth close to Yang Dingtian's ear and said, "Brother, I need to go to the toilet." Yang Dingtian was startled and was about to put Ji down. "Brother, let's go there." Ji pointed at a small sand dune not far away. Although it was currently midnight, the sand here had a faint red light. In addition, the 3 martial honorable level experts had astonishing eyesight, so Ji was embarrassed to be in the vicinity. Thus, Yang Dingtian carried Ji and walked towards the sand dune. The 3 martial honorable level experts immediately stood still and guarded in a triangular position. Although Ji had moved close to Yang Dingtian's ear and whispered, she was still unable to escape the ears of the 3 martial honorable level experts. After arriving at the back of the small sand dune, Yang Dingtian put Ji down and turned his back to her. "Brother, it's done." After a while, Ji said slightly. Yang Dingtian turned around and carried Ji on his back again. Then he walked towards the 3 martial honorable level experts. At this moment, a woman's delicate cry suddenly came from afar. Then, there was a burst of incomparably hurried and dense footsteps. Yang Dingtian's expression changed, and he looked at the 3 martial honorable level experts. "Quickly go," Qin San said loudly. "Run as fast as you can." Thus Yang Dingtian carried Ji and circulated his Xian Qi to the extreme. He quickly ran towards the northeast direction. The 3 martial honorable level experts followed behind him and protected Yang Dingtian in the middle of the triangular formation. Yang Dingtian, who was using all his strength, was extremely fast. Soon, he had left the group of half-human race behind him behind. "Stop!" Suddenly Qin San shouted. Yang Dingtian hurriedly stopped and raised his head to look ahead. He only saw a black mass in front of him. It was like half of a tide was surging over, and the desert was covered in sand. They seemed to be wolf riders, so their speed was extremely fast. At the same time, the dense footsteps behind Yang Dingtian were getting closer and closer. He turned around and saw a graceful and moving figure quickly running towards him. Behind her were several hundred wolf riders chasing after her. This woman's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she had arrived in front of Yang Dingtian. This was actually a very beautiful Foxman race woman. Her figure was graceful, and it was the best that Yang Dingtian had ever seen. At this moment, she was holding a nimble scimitar in her hand. The scimitar was stained with glaring blood. It was obvious that she had killed many wolfmen along the way. It was obvious that the 2 groups of wolf riders were chasing after this Foxman race beauty. At this moment, Yang Dingtian finally saw the appearance of the wolfmen race clearly. They were very tall, more than 2 meters tall. Furthermore, their bodies were shockingly strong. They still had the face of a human, but they seemed to have the eyes of a wolf. The shape of their faces was also very similar to that of a wolf. Of course, every wolfman was different. Some wolfmen looked more like humans, while some wolfmen looked more like wolves. But basically, every wolfman's body exuded a brutal and fierce aura. The wolfman race could be said to be one of the most powerful and bloodthirsty races in the half-human race. The 2 groups of wolf riders gathered together. There were 300 to 400 wolf riders gathered together. It was completely a black mass. They surrounded the Foxman race beauty and Yang Dingtian's group in circles. "Ji, do you know this big sister?" Yang Dingtian asked. Ji shook her head and said, I don't know her. It's really strange. She is so beautiful. Even in the Foxman race, it's very rare. I should know such a person, but I have never seen her before. That's good. Yang Dingtian said. You know the Wolfman race language. Then quickly tell their leader that we have nothing to do with this woman. We won't interfere in any of their matters, and we won't help her. I hope they will let us go. Jir said. Okay, brother. At this time, the leader of the wolf riders came out of the crowd. He was a very young wolfman about 2 meters tall. There were very few traces of wolves on his face. Even the hair on his cheeks was not much. Moreover, he was very handsome. Only his eyes were more like a wolf's eyes than others. They were incomparably narrow and gloomy. Ji-er stepped forward and used the Wolfman race language to convey Yang Dingtian's message. The leader of the wolf riders' gaze fell on Ji-er. Suddenly, he revealed an evil look. He stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked it. He pointed at Ji-er and the Foxman race beauty and said a few words. Then, he pointed at Yang Dingtian's group and said a few words. After he finished speaking, Ji-er's small body trembled. Her face revealed a frightened and angry expression. Yang Dingtian was also furious. Along the way, Yang Dingtian and Ji-er learned the important half-human race language. The Wolfman race language was one of them. Although he didn't learn much, he still understood a little of the Wolfman race's leader's words. Brother, he said, capture the women alive and make them female slaves. Kill all the men, peel their skin to make clothes, break their bones to make chairs, and use their skulls to make urinals. Ji-er angrily conveyed the original words. Yang Dingtian's face turned cold. Without a doubt, there was no room for negotiation when facing this group of savage wolfmen. Immediately, Yang Dingtian said to the Foxman race beauty, You and I, kill this group of wolfmen. He spoke in the Foxman race language. After the Foxman race beauty heard it, she nodded her head. Kill them all. Yang Dingtian directly gave the order. Immediately, Qin San continued to protect Yang Dingtian. Qin Lu and Qin Shi unsheathed their sharp swords and charged forward like lightning. The Foxman race beauty also brandished her scimitar and charged forward. Qin Lu and Qin Shi were both martial saint-level experts. Immediately, they were like tigers and wolves, quickly reaping the lives of the wolf riders. The wolf riders were not weak at all. The majority of them were great mystic martial masters and above. Especially the leader, he was a martial ancestor-level expert. However, in front of 2 martial saint-level experts, these 400 to 500 wolf riders were nothing. Qin Lu and Qin Shi, with a casual swing of their swords, split a wolf rider and his mount into 2 halves. In a short half a minute, half of the 400 to 500 wolf riders were killed. The wolf rider leader was greatly alarmed. Previously, when he saw the group of humans fleeing for their lives, he thought they were a few weak chickens. Therefore, he directly gave the order to kill them. However, he didn't expect that they would provoke such powerful, vicious people. In a blink of an eye, they were about to be completely annihilated. Note, brothers, I'm here to ask for a few monthly votes. Thank you all. Chapter 243. The leader of the wolf riders was shocked. When he saw this group of humans running for their lives, he thought that they were weaklings, so he gave the order to kill them. However, he did not expect to provoke such a powerful person. In the blink of an eye, they were about to be completely annihilated. However, the beauty from the Foxman race was already surrounded by danger. She was probably not a martial ancestor realm cultivator yet. Although she was constantly killing her enemies while being surrounded by dozens of wolf riders, she seemed to be injured. Her body was also covered in blood, and her footsteps were somewhat unsteady. Her life could be in danger at any moment. When the leader of the wolf riders saw that the number of people on his side was rapidly decreasing, his gaze immediately landed on Yang Dingtian's face. He knew that Yang Dingtian was the leader of this group of people. He immediately pointed at Yang Dingtian and ordered, "Capture him." This group of werewolves were not stupid. They knew the principle of capturing the leader first. Instantly, hundreds of wolf riders charged towards Yang Dingtian like crazy. They wanted to capture Yang Dingtian alive as a hostage. Qin Lu and Qin Shi ignored them and continued to kill crazily. They did not care about the hundreds of wolf riders charging towards Yang Dingtian. In order to capture Yang Dingtian, the leader of the wolf riders even went out personally. He mixed in with the crowd and charged towards Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's eyes narrowed. He slowly drew out his huge and mighty sky devil blade. The hundreds of wolf riders were getting closer and closer. In the blink of an eye, they were already a dozen meters away. The dozens of wolf riders at the front let out a strange cry. Then, they swung their ropes and were about to throw them towards Yang Dingtian. Qin San's face was filled with disdain. He drew his sharp sword and slashed in the air. Bang! Suddenly, a dazzling white light appeared. The dozens of wolf riders at the front were cut in half at the waist. Due to inertia, the bodies of the dozens of wolf riders were sent flying. Blood spurted out. After killing the dozens of wolf riders, Qin San slashed a few more times. Even though they were dozens of meters away, Qin Lu's sword slashes took the lives of dozens of werewolves. Instantly, the leader of the wolf riders was stunned. Qin Lu and Qin Qi killed people like they were slaughtering chickens. He was terrified. Therefore, he changed his direction and picked a soft persimmon to pinch as he charged towards Yang Dingtian. Who would have thought that this Qin San by Yang Dingtian's side was the real death god? Actually, it wasn't just the leader of the wolf riders who was stunned. Yang Dingtian was as well. Although he knew that Qin San's cultivation was the highest among the three guards, he thought that it was only slightly higher. He did not expect that Qin San was so much stronger than Qin Lu and Qin Qi. Qin Lu and Qin Qi personally entered the battle formation to kill the wolf cavalry. Qin San, who was dozens of meters away, killed dozens of people with a single slash of his sword. How shocking was this? Also, he was merely ranked third. In that case, how powerful would Qin Er and Qin Yi be? How strong would Qin Wanqiu be? In this short period of time, the hundreds of people around the leader of the wolf riders were almost completely wiped out. He was already scared out of his wits. Immediately, he turned around and fled as fast as he could, wanting to escape from this god of death with all his might. Qin San sneered and aimed at the leader of the wolf riders who was running away, slashing through the air. Suddenly, the leader of the wolf riders and his wolf were separated into two halves in the air. Fresh blood and internal organs splattered all over the ground. The leader didn't even have time to scream. As for Qin Lu and Qin Qi, they were almost done killing the remaining wolf riders. Yang Dingtian pulled out the Sky Demon battle blade, but didn't even have the chance to make a move. Urashina's body trembled slightly. She whispered in Yang Dingtian's ear, "Big brother, he's so powerful." "Yeah." Yang Dingtian replied. These 400 to 500 wolf riders were truly unlucky. Yang Dingtian and the rest hid during the day and moved stealthily because they didn't want to cause any trouble. They were afraid of attracting the true experts of the half-human race, and were also afraid of ruining Qin Wanqiu's strategy. Once this group of wolf riders really provoked them, there would only be one outcome, which was to be killed without leaving a single one alive. Now almost all of the 400 to 500 wolf riders were dead. Qin Lu and Qin Qi were chasing after the last few dozen wolf riders that escaped. Only the remaining 30 to 40 wolf riders were surrounding and killing the Foxman race beauty. This group of wolf riders was really rude and unafraid of death. Even if their companions were all dead, they still didn't escape. They still risked their lives to kill the Foxman race beauty. At this moment, the Foxman race beauty was already drenched in blood. The scimitar in her hand was also badly damaged. Her hair was disheveled and she was staggering. She was already seriously injured and could die at any moment. However, she was really unyielding. Even if she could die at any moment, she still gritted her teeth. She didn't have the slightest intention of asking Yang Dingtian and the rest for help. Occasionally, she would look at Yang Dingtian with her beautiful eyes that were filled with pity. "Big brother, save her." Although Jier didn't know this Foxman race beauty, she was still soft-hearted and couldn't help but ask. Yang Dingtian said, "Go save her." Qin San said, "Yes." Then, Qin San pulled out his sharp sword and was about to slash through the void. However, he realized that the Foxman race beauty was completely entangled with the wolf riders. Qin San's sword gleam could easily kill these dozens of wolf riders, but it would also cut the Foxman race beauty into two. Therefore, Qin San frowned and looked at Qin Lu and Qin Shi. He said, "Hurry up and come back to protect Mr. Shen." This Qin San was indeed cautious. Even if there were no enemies now, he still asked Qin Lu and Qin Shi to quickly come back to protect Mr. Shen. "Yes, Third Master," Qin Lu and Qin Shi said. Then, they increased their speed and killed the last of the wolf riders. Then, they quickly rushed towards Yang Dingtian. As for the Foxman race beauty, she was already on the verge of death. Qin San's body shot out like lightning and directly rushed into the dozens of wolf riders that were left. Instantly, his figure was like a ghost. His sword was like the wind. In an instant, he killed the dozens of wolf riders that were surrounding the Foxman race beauty. After killing them, Qin San ignored the Foxman race beauty and turned to leave. He walked towards Yang Dingtian. "Many thanks." The beauty from the Foxman race slightly bent her waist and bowed to express her thanks. "No need," Qin San said. "Stay away from us. The farther the better." The Foxman race beauty did not leave. Instead, she followed behind Qin San and walked towards Yang Dingtian. "Thank you for saving me." "You're welcome," Yang Dingtian said indifferently. Then the Foxman race beauty looked at Ji Urashina, who was on Yang Dingtian's back. She was slightly startled. Then, her beautiful eyes continued to look at Yang Dingtian. She said, "Brave human warriors, my father is one of the chiefs of the Foxman race tribe. Recently, a group of people have been attacking and robbing the beautiful girls of my Foxman race. In order to catch them, I took the initiative to act as bait to lure them out. Then I pursued them for thousands of miles. That group of people is very cunning. I chased them all the way to the depths of the desert. When I killed the last wolf tribe criminal, that wolf man actually detonated his own body to send out a signal. Thus, the wolf tribe patrolling soldiers within a radius of a few hundred miles came to pursue me. If I had not met the three brave human warriors, I would have been dead by now." Yang Dingtian said, "You're welcome. Goodbye." Then, Yang Dingtian and the three martial honorable experts were about to leave. "Please wait. So many people from the wolf tribe have died. Soon, there will be more wolf riders coming to kill us. Can I ask you to escort me back to my tribe? My father will definitely reward you," the Foxman race beauty said. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "We don't need any reward." Then Yang Dingtian continued to walk forward. "Wait," the Foxman race beauty said. "You humans must have a purpose for coming to the Dongli grasslands. No matter what you want to do, I can help you." Yang Dingtian thought for a while and looked at Qin San. "Master has ordered that the three of us must obey any of your orders," Qin San said. Yang Dingtian really did have something important, that he needed the help of the Foxman race beauty. He even needed her help after entering the Dongli grasslands and the burial grounds. "All right, you can follow us," Yang Dingtian said. The Foxman race beauty's face immediately lit up with joy and said. Then, Yang Dingtian simply treated her wounds and gave her a pill. Then the group continued on their way. Previously, the group was extremely careful. They did not dare to speak or leave behind footprints. However, after the massacre, they became more relaxed. They only rushed on with all their might, using their fastest speed to rush on their way. They had just killed 400 to 500 wolf riders. Once these corpses were discovered, there would definitely be an endless number of wolf riders coming to kill them. Chapter 244. I got it, Yang Dingtian said. Is that so? That's great. Xiang said excitedly, but she didn't ask what Yang Dingtian was asking. Let's go, we'll go back right away. Yang Dingtian stretched out his hands. Xiang's beautiful face blushed slightly, and then she gently shrank into Yang Dingtian's arms. She was picked up by him, and her two jade arms gently wrapped around Yang Dingtian's neck. Yang Dingtian flapped his wings and flew in the direction of the VIP pavilion. Yang Dingtian carried Xiang and flew until they were a kilometer away from the VIP pavilion. He then held her shoulder and said, Xiang, I have something I need your help with, okay? Okay, Xiang Xiang nodded vigorously and said, I will definitely do it. I still have a very important thing to do, so I won't go back to the VIP pavilion. You know that the 3 experts around me are very powerful. In fact, they are not only my bodyguards, but also responsible for monitoring me. So I have to get away from their control to do this. Yang Dingtian said. Well, I know. What do you need me to do? Xiang Xiang asked. Don't do anything for these 3 people. They are very powerful, and their methods are very fierce. Yang Dingtian said. I need your help with the little girl from the Foxman race. She was captured by humans as a slave, and I happened to save her. I have a lot of things to do, so it is very inconvenient to bring her with me. Moreover, she is of the same race as you. This is her real home, so I want to entrust her to you. Let her live here and grow up here. Xiang Xiang immediately nodded and said, Don't worry, I will definitely treat her as my own sister. That's good, Yang Dingtian. Next, you go back to the VIP pavilion and get someone to bring Jir down for you. After that, you don't have to care about the things here. Don't meet with the 3 humans and go back to your father's side directly. Your father is very powerful, and these 3 human experts are not his match. Okay, I got it, Xiang Xiang said. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, Then I'll be leaving. Then, Yang Dingtian slowly floated into the sky. Jier's beautiful eyes slightly reddened, and with tears she said, Then sir, after you finish your business, will you come to see Xiang Xiang? Oh no, will you come to see Jier? Yang Dingtian nodded and said, As long as I have time I will definitely come, not only to see Jier, but also to see Miss Xiang Xiang. Then I'll wait for you to come and see me, Xiang Xiang said in a tender voice. Goodbye. Yang Dingtian nodded and flew into the sky. Sir, take care, Xiang Xiang said with tears in her eyes. I will, thank you, Yang Dingtian said in a low voice. Then, he flapped his wings and flew in the direction of the bone burial ground. 3 days later, the Yinyang mountain that was half fire and half ice would emerge from the lake in the center of the bone burial ground. At that time, the heaven and earth mystic flame would bloom. If he missed it, he would have to wait for another 200 years. A few hours later, Yang Dingtian flew away from the gathering place of the Foxman race and entered the 500-mile bone burial ground. At this time, the sky was already bright. The bone burial ground was basically a vast grassland. The 500-mile bone burial ground had about a dozen mountains and a few lakes. The rest was the vast grassland. At this time, the grassland was desolate and uninhabited. Basically, other than when the half-human race war broke out, this place was densely packed with half-human race troops. For the rest of the time, there was not a single person here, nor was there any active life. This was because this was a battlefield. For thousands of years, who knew how many people had died here? At least tens of millions. Every inch of the ground here was stained with blood. Almost every inch of the ground here was filled with corpses. Therefore, this was the place where the Yin Qi was the most abundant. Normally, no half-human race would dare to enter this place alone. Even animals and demonic beasts did not want to enter this place. When he was in the air, Yang Dingtian could clearly see that although the bone burial ground and the land outside were connected, they were completely separated. The land outside was filled with green and vitality. The trees and weeds in the bone burial ground were grayish-red. As for the soil, it was completely blood-red because it had been irrigated by countless amounts of blood. It was also because of the countless corpses that the land in the bone burial ground was extremely fertile. The weeds that grew there were at least 3 to 4 meters tall, which was much taller than a person. Therefore, it was basically impossible to walk on them. Therefore, Yang Dingtian still had to fly. Sticking close to the 3 to 4 meters tall weeds, he secretly flew towards the central lake of the bone burial ground. The heaven and earth level mystic flame should be there. However, it could only be seen when it bloomed 3 days later. Flying silently like this, after 2 hours, Yang Dingtian had already penetrated 100 miles into the bone burial ground. On the way he passed by a lake. The water in this lake was completely blood-red and very viscous. It was full of blood and stench. This bone burial ground was gloomy and strange everywhere. But fortunately, he did not see any signs of human habitation along the way. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to relax, he suddenly felt an extremely powerful energy that was rapidly approaching him. Then, he only saw the weeds on the ground quickly falling to the two sides. 3 figures were catching up with him, at an extremely fast speed. It was Qin San, Qin Lu and Qin Shi. He did not expect that they would actually catch up with him. They did not even need to use their sabers and swords to chop the weeds to open a path. They only rushed forward quickly. The energy bursting out from their bodies directly smashed the weeds around them into fine powder. Everywhere they passed, there was a smooth path. How powerful were the 3 martial revered level experts? Crushing the weeds to open a path was a piece of cake. When Yang Dingtian first saw them, they were still a few thousand meters away from Yang Dingtian. But when Yang Dingtian took a second look, the distance was almost half. Yang Dingtian was shocked. He hurriedly used the dragon dance of the 9 heavens flying mystic skill, and increased his speed. He desperately flew high into the sky, wanting to escape from the 3 people's pursuit. Next, he was going to collect the mystic flame. How could these 3 people be by his side? More importantly, if they knew about the mystic flame, they would probably kill Yang Dingtian immediately. This dragon dance of the 9 heavens was indeed powerful. With the empty spirit mystic wings, Yang Dingtian's flying speed could reach a few hundred kilometers in an hour. So after a few minutes, he left Qin San, and the rest further and further behind. After a few more minutes, he could no longer see the 3 people's figures. Immediately, Yang Dingtian could not help but slightly relax. But at this moment, Yang Dingtian's body suddenly became sluggish and almost directly fell from the sky. His mystic chi was used up. Just now, he only remembered to desperately fly and escape. He desperately used his mystic chi to push his flying speed to the maximum. So in less than 10 minutes, all his mystic chi was completely used up. At this moment, he was less than 100 miles away from the central lake. Very quickly, Yang Dingtian's mystic chi could not even maintain the empty spirit mystic wings, and directly fell from the sky. After Yang Dingtian landed, he hurriedly took out a mystic gathering pill from his spatial ring and swallowed it. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground and refined the mystic gathering pill. The mystic gathering pill entered his sea of chi and recovered his mystic chi. Half a minute passed. 1 minute passed. 3 minutes passed. Yang Dingtian was burning with anxiety. Finally, after 3.5 minutes, Yang Dingtian completely refined the mystic gathering pill into his sea of chi. The mystic chi in his body recovered by about 80%. Then he suddenly flapped his wings and wanted to fly into the sky. But at this moment, he found that his body was firmly locked by 3 forces of energy and could not move at all. They had actually arrived and directly locked Yang Dingtian from a few hundred meters away. After a few seconds, the 3 people suddenly rushed to Yang Dingtian's side and firmly surrounded him. Qin San looked at him coldly and said, "Mr. Shun, where are you going?" Yang Dingtian said, "Do I have to report to you where I am going? The Lord once said that it is you who unconditionally obey my orders, not the other way around." "That's right, there is such a thing," Qin San said. "But that is within your normal duties. Your normal duties are to form an alliance with the Foxman race, and not to run into this desolate burial ground. What is your purpose? Speak." Yang Dingtian said coldly, "What if I don't speak?" Qin San said, "For the benefit of Qin City, then we have no choice but to use some methods and interrogate you." Suddenly, a strange and powerful energy suddenly emerged from Qin San's palm, and he suddenly placed it on Yang Dingtian's head. Instantly, an extremely strange and powerful energy drilled into Yang Dingtian's brain. The incomparable pain caused Yang Dingtian to scream. Then, a strange spiritual energy suddenly wanted to torture Yang Dingtian's rationality and spirit. Yang Dingtian felt a chill in his heart. Thus, he used his spiritual energy and Xian Qi to resist with all his might. But the difference between his cultivation and Qin San's was too big, and he could not resist at all. In the hellish pain, Yang Dingtian's willpower became weaker and weaker. At this moment, Yang Dingtian still had the most crucial move, which was the lightning-type Xian skill. He directly attacked Qin-san. Although he could not hurt him, he might still have a chance to escape if he took the opportunity. But if he did that, the fact that he was impersonating the hidden sect's disciple would be completely exposed. Then, there might not be a place for him in the world. But if he did not do that, his spirit and brain might be irreparably damaged. Mr. Shun, if you don't speak, your brain might be destroyed, Qin-san said coldly. At this moment, the surrounding air suddenly turned cold, and the surrounding weeds instantly froze. Let him go. He belongs to me now. An extremely pleasant voice rang out, like ice cracking and jade shattering. Moreover, this voice was extremely familiar. It rang in Yang Dingtian's heart countless times, causing a bone-deep hatred to surge in Yang Dingtian's heart. Dongfang Bingling. The fairy of the nine heavens, Dongfang Bingling. Then almost instantly, an extremely beautiful figure floated in the air. She was still high above, like a beautiful fairy standing on the peak of a mountain. She actually appeared here. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.